So, before you guys start spending your summer vacation with the IS, who wants to earn a bullet by giving me the recap? I think Wayne should do it.
Did you listen to the whole episode?
Nope.
Listened to about half?
Yeah, I didn't listen far enough for it to get to the to everything going crazy.
Didn't go crazy. Everything went according to plan.
I know Brodor shot a dude.
You know the last thing to go through the Ratman's mind.
Brodor's bullet.
It was actually the Ratman's bullet at that point.
It was a gift.
He thinks it's last.
From what I hear, Motomar might need to do the recap to get an extra bullet
Yeah.
to survive.
I won't be able to do it from his perspective because he doesn't remember much. I don't remember.
It's not an in-person recap.
But it could be.
I was in the bilge. I was in the bilge.
I was in the bilge whacking it to Lady Chatterley's lover.
Lady Chatterley's lover. We started off, we were riding down the river with the Piasaw. We were lashed together. We noticed that the Piasaw ran way more efficiently than we do. And it was...
That's a low bar to jump, though, just for the record.
Well, that's true.
Cyrus gets more respect than Joe. I'm just...
Well, that's there's no question about that. But my crew is sufficient.
sufficient. Maybe everyone gets a meets expectations rating.
I'm a professional manager. I know how this shit works.
Their boat is superior too, though.
Appreciation is a currency.
Okay, continue.
So we noticed that there was also... It seemed that Cyrus wasn't really running the show. It was one of the other sailors. Not even the captain. It was some other guy.
Right.
I don't think we ever got...
We did not get his name. Yeah,
That's Captain Bill.
No, Captain Bill was hands off.
Yeah,
He's
it's
relatively
the other guy
hands.
who was
It's
running.
relatively hands off. There's another person on the crew who's giving most of the
okay.
orders.
I
Yeah.
thought, okay.
Right. During the trip, Emily was teaching Joe how to read, and Lee and Mo were confined below deck. Motomar spent most of his time in the bilge,
Lee spent most of his time above deck,
reading and...
flagrantly disobeying orders.
Jesus, I shot the wrong guy.
At night, we beached, and Motomar noticed that there was someone watching the boat at night. We attributed it to probably a scout of some sort, and then the next day we met up with Temper's militia, where we delivered our haul. Corporal Schnell had a boy.
Yay!
At which time we did the metagame, which was the business cycle. We had completed the first business cycle, so we did a card pool and had to come up against the Queen of Clubs, which was a strain on our manpower. I don't remember exactly how we did it. I think we ended up risking 2 of our cards to...
Yes, but because the Queen drops a benefit, you guys actually ended up profiting. Since you were victorious, you profited overall.
Which was like a new crew member or something like that.
Yes, and I've put that to a vote on the Patreon, and the people on the Patreon have picked who your new manpower is going to be. So, unless you guys just shoot them in the face too for questionably discernible reasons,
You are not meeting expectations. Blam!
Didn't we also get something for Philip too, like some business contacts thing? I remember I made some rolls and then I
We increased our opportunity by 1.
Right.
We spent, or no, was it 5 to 7?
I left you a note somewhere. It says, Wayne, you know more about towns to the south now on the Mississippi. I actually left you a note to that effect.
he did write some dick pics to
Yeah.
Brodor, so maybe he wrote it.
There we go.
Okay, so Wayne, yes, you know a little bit more about. You have like some really high level notes that you picked up from another merchant about, or not was it was member Temper's militia.
Right.
Yeah.
That you have some.
Oh, because I was telling them the story.
Yeah.
I was telling them the story of what happened in St. Louis,
And so they told
And-
you news from the south.
Yeah, and I did it in such a way that they were. It's just like, okay, how about a little
So-
quid pro quo,
Yeah,
guys?
it's
I
a
thought I had the
railroad
picture.
that's coming from Waycross, Georgia,
Yes.
that goes to Cape Girardeau.
No, there's a railroad that runs from Waycross, and it goes across parts of the South, and there's talk about what it would mean if they connected it to the St. Louis sphere of influence.
Right.
But it is not. And one of the things they also noted about the railroad is that despite the fact that it's primarily running freight, they seem to have a disproportionate number of passenger cars. And not a whole lot's known about its financing.
Looks like Lee set up a take and leave library with Tempers Militia. You gave up like all of your
Yep.
books and everything like that.
And then I also got them to agree to, when they go from town to town, and especially when they winter in places, the people who know how to read to teach people who don't know how to read in the town how to read and encourage them to teach others.
And that's when the Rat Man showed up. He revealed that the Piasol was working for him, and that his arrival meant that
What he's doing.
I edited my tag a little bit.
The money guy, the Limpy, and then the captain quotes. To explain for those of you on audio, we have these dry erase like marker boards in front of everyone, like table tents. I guess like table tents, and everyone's name is on the front, character name, and then on the back they can make whatever notes they want. And Chad has arrows pointing to the other players, reminding him of what their roles are in the group, and he's just edited it to make fun of everyone.
No, only two of them.
Only two of them.
I was trying to think of one for Wayne, but he wasn't here last game, so I'll give him a chance to embarrass himself.
Okay. Let him fail in his own good way. Mm-hmm. All right.
and then Emily delivered the letter as she promised to Temper, which recalled the militia to Herman.
We believe that's what it was. We were pretty certain that's what it was, because no one ever read the letter.
Right, but she said that her grandfather had made a deal
Gotcha.
with Temper's militia.
Yeah, he had hired Colonel Temper to send his army to Herman.
So then Ratman decided that he was going to exchange information for space coins. We got 2 bits of information out of him before we got nothing else out of him.
Oh, we got something out of him. It was gray and spongy.
We found out that the IST's coins, they had the space coins, and that the ISTs were not on the Ratman's payroll. He was on theirs. And also, we found out that he was the one who orchestrated the hit on the steamship, trying to get Lily's book. Well, it wasn't the hit on it was supposed to be the hit on us, but it turned out they hit the wrong people and got the steamship.
It wasn't supposed to be a hit either. The hire was to get the book, and was not supposed to be violent. But at least as he tells the story, the individuals that did it, basically 1 got the wrong target and 2 got stupid and violent, and says that after the job was over, since they 1 failed to get the book and 2 did a lot of destruction in the process, he says that he had them all killed.
Wow, so they weren't after anything being smuggled. They were after the book.
Yeah.
Right, because, and I quote, hopefully she, being Lily, saw his aid from space.
Yeah, he was. I guess his aide was late, and he was looking for any kind of like wreckage or anything like that he could scrounge. So once it came out that he was behind Lily's death,
Did you find out how he even knew about the book to begin with, or did you shoot him too soon?
These are all great questions, Wayne.
Okay.
But the moment made it all worth it. It was beautiful.
Yep. So he tells Modamar to kill him.
No, you
Yeah,
didn't
he
say
did.
the words "kill him."
I said, Modamar, you're off your leash.
There.
Kill him.
Well, yeah,
Oh, you
like
did
right
say
before
kill
that,
him?
it was you're on your leash, or you're restrained, and then all this conversation happened, and Modamar didn't know what was going on, and then as soon as Joe said you're off your leash, then he started to move towards Ratman. Ratman got the jump on him and shot him
Rat-a-tat-tat,
And
man.
With a machine pistol.
with a machine pistol, and then Joe blew his head off as he started to run away. Shot him in the back of the head, right?
No, shot him in the front. He was backing off.
Backing away.
He was backing away, and Joe then shot him in the head.
Temper was pretty pissed off about that because apparently they were hired to protect the Ratman. And in killing him, that made them look bad. We had to explain why, or prove that the Ratman was a bad guy, at which time I think it was the flute.
No, it was we tried
music
to do
book,
Flute,
right.
but it was the book of her sister's music book
Right.
because Lee got really upset because he was not ready to give that to her sister. And that the guy forced the issue.
Okay, so Modamar, there's your bullet. All right, so you guys continue throughout the remainder of the afternoon, headed west, farther inland, and in a direction you guys damn well know is. Try not playing ball right now.
Put in my balls.
You know.
There was one crucial piece of information that I would like reiterated, and that is that Korish used magic to heal Modamar.
It was faith. It wasn't magic.
There was the whole faith, magic, water healing thing. Lee is skeptical.
All right. So Mike, not Joe, nanites.
Yeah. Joe, on the other hand, has just found religion.
Magic.
Lee, on the other hand, is like, we're all gonna die.
So he's healed after being shot?
Well, we
Not
don't know
completely.
how much. So what happened was the Ists come, and we're all gonna die. But that's not what happened. They come, they see him, Modamar, and this crazy religious dude is just like, he's being all crazy and religious like crazy religious guys are, and says, hey, we know him, we're going to take him with us. Modamar's like, don't kill and rape my friends, and they're like, of course we wouldn't, we're Ists, we're civilized people.
Yeah, you're the grand nephew of your great aunt Ma Carver. Why would we harm you?
Yeah. You see that? That was the look on my face, too. My jaw hit the floor as well.
Wow.
I know, right?
Sorry, Wayne and I were having a moment. We'll talk about that later. Let that process for a moment. So, anyway, the crazy religious guy had this canteen. Modamar's like bleeding out. And we had injected Modamar with some stuff earlier.
Yeah, we did.
We didn't know what it was. So, who knows? Maybe,
Protein.
Yeah.
Warm.
So, this guy takes a canteen and puts the water from the water quotes over the wounds. And Dan, what happened? Because that was like really fast and we wrapped it
What
up.
happened was, so he had been shot in the hip, and some portion of the bones there had been broken, and obviously it was also there's a bullet hole in there, and it had been bleeding, and Dr. Marshall had been trying to control the bleeding, and Koresh made her move her hand, and it was, of course, this whole thing's covered in blood and whatever, and he rinses the area off with his canteen, and when he does, the bones are still broken, but there's no more wound. The bullet hole is gone.
Not even a scar?
No. not so much as even a scar. All right, so you guys depart from the area that once upon a time was Altenburg, Missouri, and begin making your way west. And at times you're following old roads, at times you're following game trails, other times you guys are just sort of cutting your own path through the wilderness. With you are several dozen ists that are, they're keeping you generally towards their middle. I mean, it's a column in march or group in march. So, I mean, it's not super organized, but there are ists on all four sides of you. So please adjust accordingly if you're going to attempt anything brash. And they're moving at a fairly decent pace. I had the whole thing, well, I know what their destination is, but they're keeping you guys moving at a fairly decent pace. It's not like a run or anything. Some of them are on horseback, and the ones that are on horseback, they occasionally run ahead. They sometimes will peel off, particularly to the north, and then come back a little bit later. You're guessing these are probably scouting patrols because they are in an area where a patrol or caravan from St. Louis could still happen by this area.
How are they armed?
A variety of ways. It's fairly makeshift. Some of them do have guns that appear to be stolen, salvaged, maybe even hand-built. Many of them are armed with nothing more than makeshift weaponry, by which I mean we're talking melee weapons of various sorts, spears, knives, clubs. So it is quite a mishmash. There's no one here that appears to be, I mean, genuinely of superior armament. I mean, you don't see somebody who's got like a belt-fed squad automatic or something like that, or somebody who's got a particle sniper rifle,
or a powered armor codpiece.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
You've not gotten to that boss. When you find the man in gray who sits upon the throne, who grants Koresh his hip-healing powers, he will have a powered armor codpiece.
Excellent.
Now, as you guys continue through the afternoon, the sun is, of course, setting the same direction you're walking, or thereabouts. Sun sets a bit to the south, since we're in the northern hemisphere, and you guys are headed northwest by west, so I think maybe about like 9:30-ish. And as you guys go throughout most of your journeys thus far, the weather's been pretty consistent. There was a little bit of rain one day, but clouds are moving in from the west, and it's starting to get very overcast, very gray, very dull.
Are they talking to each other, chatting at all as they go, or is it...
Yes, much of it you really probably wish you had not overheard, but yes. They do talk to each other some. When the patrols depart and come back, they do those high-pitched calls, that kind of rebel yell sort of thing. When they are together in person, they do chat on and off and generally discuss relatively nasty things.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm kind of trying to pick out the hierarchy. Who's in charge here?
Okay, Wayne, that's... I know you're good on the social. Do you have anything... I'm not going to count merchant, but do you have... Yeah. All right, give me a 2d6 plus your social.
All right.
Let's see how well you can read these people.
So 16.
So pretty well. So your take on it is this particular group of this is the closest you've probably in your life ever been to this, certainly in non-violence. You can tell there is hierarchy, at least social hierarchy, even if it's not established. You don't hear them refer to each other by titles, but you do notice, for example, that when the patrols return, there's one or two individuals that they tend to report back to. Now, whether this is a named hierarchy or just simply a social pecking order, you don't have any obvious way of knowing. One of the things that you have noticed is something that's not occurring, which is the people that you're marking as lower or even mid-level on this totem pole, they don't talk to Koresh. The only people that talk to Koresh are the people that seem to be the shot callers, the sergeants, whatever you care to call them. And even they tend to do so only very briefly and with a certain amount of reticence. It's very businesslike. When they approach him, they just they give him straight to the punchline, straight to the, this is what it is. And oftentimes he doesn't even respond to them. And if he does, it's usually with just a grunt or a nod or maybe an added instruction of check this valley or something like that, and then goes back to sitting in silence.
How's Motomar doing? And how are we transporting him?
Motomar is being... how did you guys...
I think it was
Didn't they make him a litter?
Yeah, I think you guys made him...
Out of the Rat Man?
Yes, he's in the rib cage of the Rat Man. This is like some 40K thing. No, but you guys, I think, did make some kind of a litter or some kind of a sled or something that he's on. You're in a fair amount of pain still. The bones there are definitely messed up. Mm-hmm. The hip is, despite not bleeding, is very, very darkly bruised and swollen. And you can hardly move that leg at all. And when you do, it's incredibly painful. They're letting Sonia, Dr. Marshall, stay near you. And you notice that every time you express pain, she opens her medicine bag and you can hear her counting. You can hear her moving things around and counting. And after which she decides whether to give you something or not for the pain.
Okay. All right. And at this point, I'm a little bit more quiet about it. I'm not yelling or, I'm not even really asking for the pain medicine that I was asking for before. Mostly I'm just watching what's going on. And then anytime, the first time Joe walks by, I say, Joe, tell me straight.
Mm-hmm.
Did it hit my ding ding?
You're all right there.
Okay. Because Dr. Sonia wouldn't tell me.
Dr. Sonia wouldn't check.
Oh. Will you check?
Remember, he pulled his pants down once. It's your turn.
I'll check.
Feeling really swollen.
I did read Lady Charity's lover to him. So I'm sorry.
I actually feel. Yeah, I check. I mean, I don't make any light of it or any joke of it, but he wants to make sure that his ding ding's okay. At this point, I owe him more than that. So yeah,
his ding ding's perfectly fine. I mean,
Is it fully functional? Perhaps he needs a prostate exam.
Does Joe feel inadequate after checking?
I'll let you guys work that one out in email. But yeah, his twig and berries are all still there. Well, he wasn't shot there. He was shot to the left of that.
You appear to be in working order.
Okay. Well, that's a relief. I don't think I'll be using it for a while. It hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Every time they take a step, it hurts.
Did you tell Dr. Marshall that?
Yeah, but she won't give me anything.
All right.
She keeps counting. I don't think she wants to run out.
Or she doesn't want to hurt you further.
I don't understand.
I think she's afraid she might give you too much, and too much would be bad for you. Like when you're drinking, there's that line that you cross.
Oh, yeah.
and the next morning you wish you hadn't crossed it. But
Right.
boy, you had a good time getting up to that line.
Yeah.
Same thing with pain medicine, I think.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
You're going to be all right.
Okay.
You're going to be all right.
I would have killed him, Joe. So you didn't have to.
I know.
He was faster than me.
I know. Joe's going to walk away. Because, well, I mean, I walk away.
Dr. Marshall, did you ever see anything like that? The wound being gone, no bruise.
No.
Never read anything like that either. I don't know what happened. I don't believe in that mumbo jumbo, but I know what I saw.
I don't know what happened earlier either, but the Rat Man had something on him we injected him with before I'm prepared to chalk this up to crazy guys, holy water. I'm going to guess that whatever it is he was carrying, I mean, so what I've been able to piece together about this Rat Man character from listening to you guys, he operates mostly by himself, apparently has friends that aren't around that much, and even then not many, putting himself in a lot of dangerous situations.
And he's from from space.
Yeah, so you guys keep saying. I'm not convinced. But whatever the case, clearly someone with significant technologies backing him, and he would have to be able to operate alone. So it makes sense if they had some way of allowing him to simply bounce back from being a shot, they'd give it to him.
Think how many people that could help. If we could make that stuff, how many people wouldn't die? Why would they keep that to themselves?
Depends on who they are.
Make a fortune selling it.
What's a fortune? What's worth anything? Let's take the only place that we know. Moving aside all speculation about him being from Pluto or whatever it is that you guys have come up with, if, let's just say he's from Jacksonville, to the best of our knowledge, they have at least pre-war technology, maybe better than that. Pre-war, if they didn't have something on that level, they were close. So it's wholly plausible they're using that on a regular basis right now.
And they just don't give a shit about the rest of us out here dying.
Or maybe they do give a shit, but they don't know how to do anything with it without opening the floodgates. How do you walk into any community in the middle of winter where everybody's starving with a bag of food that's enough to feed you and the ones that you love? What do you think's going to happen? They're going to tear you apart for that.
Yeah.
And so you get a system of the haves and the have-nots, because society always works out in a way where somebody finds a way to justify who it is that deserves to have versus who it is that's expendable, it's disposable. And maybe that's necessary. Maybe there's just not enough in this world for everybody. I don't know.
They've got stuff like that in Jacksonville. I'd love to see what else they have.
Yeah, you and everybody else on the outside of those walls. Closest you'll ever get's Waycross. They sell some of it there. But to pick up something like that, I I mean, it's possible. Maybe he traded with them for it. Maybe it's from Jacksonville, but Jacksonville didn't give it to him. They traded with somebody else for it, and that somebody else gave it to him.
Or maybe he brought it down from a space station.
Or fine, he brought it down from a space station. But whatever way you look at it, somebody with very deep pockets, somebody who is a have, and a have with a capital H, made this happen.
It kind of goes without saying, considering we're surrounded and walking with a group of people that I would have thought would have just gutted us, but we're in over our heads here, aren't we?
They haven't killed us. I don't know what they want with us. I think, quite frankly, the only person they want anything with is Motomar. And the only reason the rest of us may be alive is because they need me to keep Motomar alive, and they need me to remain calm, or otherwise I may become non-compliant. And if I'm non-compliant and he dies, I don't think these people are going to be in for a very warm welcome when they get back to wherever it is they live.
You hear him say he's royalty?
He's, if they're to be believed, he's at least they think, he's the great nephew of the current head of the Carver clan.
Might be the only thing that gets us out of here alive. Which is a pretty big assumption.
And I don't know how you leverage that into an escape plan.
And he just kind of walks silently after that.
Chad, were you taking notes or playing the real game?
Don't worry about it. If you have to ask, is that part of the real game?
No.
You're obviously not part of the game.
I am seldom part of the real game. I just didn't know if you were taking notes or playing the real game.
No, I was not taking notes.
I don't
No,
take notes.
He doesn't ever take notes.
I didn't take
Unless
notes in
he's-
school.
Unless he's running a game, then he may take a note or two.
Yeah, I don't remember
But
a
that's
name
pretty-
or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
After a while, I'm going to try to head over toward Dr. Marshall. Motomar says he's still in pain.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Is there anything else you can give him?
I can, but we don't have an infinite supply, nor do I have any way of resupplying. I'm trying to meter it as best as I can to keep him at least at a manageable level of pain for as long as possible.
Can we take a little bit more of the edge off?
I can, but the more edge I take off, the longer I can keep it off. Or, excuse me, the less time I can keep it off.
Okay. Do me a favor, give him just a little bit more. Just for now. The journey, it's hard on him. Every step they take is challenging for him. And even though he's not going to admit it, he needs a little bit more, please.
All right. She makes her way over to you, Motomar, and takes out a hypo, says, "Oh, we're going to give you something a little bit more.
Okay.
This is going to sting, but only just for a second. And then you're going to feel a whole lot better for a little bit."
Will it make me hungry?
If it does, that's a good thing. I don't think it will, not directly. If you're hungry, I think you're just hungry.
No. I haven't eaten in a while.
Have you ever smoked something?
I smoked pop.
Yeah, okay, I'm not injecting you with pot, if that's what you...
No, not pop.
Pop,
Smoked a pipe with pop.
you smoked a pipe with pop. Well, from what I know of pop, I'm going to guess that you did smoke pot with pop, and I'm not injecting you with marijuana, if that's what you think.
Oh.
This comes from a plant that grows a long way from here. It's complicated how we get it, but
Maybe we should grow some.
Well, it'd be nice if we could, but the climate's difficult. It can be grown in greenhouses, which aren't green, so I probably shouldn't have said that.
Nor are they houses.
Bet you could grow a lemon in one.
You need a big one. Lemons grow on trees.
She gives you a partial injection, and
Okay.
I'll give you the rest of this when we stop for the night to help you sleep.
I'm feeling better already. Not cat house better, but better.
Not the two cheapest whores in Washington better.
That's. I miss three-fingered girl.
Lee goes up to Joe and says, notice how he had to hesitate on the girl part.
As you guys are talking, Koresh slows his horse down and begins riding next to you, Motomar.
Okay. I just kind of loll my head over and look at him. I'll say, do you drink that water?
Yes,
What does it do to you?
it keeps me holy, anointed. You ought to keep yourself holy as well.
I've got plenty of holes.
I was referring to your whoring. I overheard that. Perhaps you should stop whoring.
Oh. Horrid. What's that?
It's an exchange of money for sexual favors.
I don't take money for sex.
He does have a point. I've never seen him take any money for sex. I've seen him give a lot out for sex, though.
Is it the same thing?
After a time of testing, once you have been sifted and made pure, I will pray, and your hip too will be healed, just as your flesh was. Bone and sinew will become one again,
Sounds great.
but not until then.
When can I get sifted?
You're being sifted right now. Every ache, every pain, every bit of amoral advice that comes from your friends is sifting.
Yeah. But if I drink that water, wouldn't that help?
In your state, it would probably kill you.
Yeah. I don't normally drink much water. Then I kind of look at where he's holding it and I go, can I smell it?
No.
Can I touch it?
No. Don't put your interest in the water. Put your interest in the power behind the water.
I don't understand.
You will.
Why does my aunt want me so much? Doesn't she have anybody else?
That's for her to say, not for me. Is it not enough that she loves you enough to want you back?
The bits of her anyway. Sorry.
Despite having abandoned your family? Despite having fled for all these years and lived like a common heathen? Isn't it enough that she wants you back? Don't you know what it means to love, to be desired?
No, you said I can't pay for that anymore.
Damn it, I was going to make that joke. It didn't seem appropriate.
He pulls his horse away, but as he does, He looks down at Joe and says, "Oh, how easily he'll be put back on the correct path as if this is all he has to leave behind."
I think he insulted you.
Yeah. I think so.
I don't know anything that he said.
I don't think he knows either.
Also, Captain, before we stop for the night, we're going to collect your firearms, explosives. Keep your blades, your blunt weapons. You'll need them tomorrow. But the firearms and explosives remain with us until...
Lee raises his hand. May I ask a question?
Of course.
Why will we need our blades and blunt weapons tomorrow?
To defend yourself against the people that would keep from you a sacred portion set apart for you.
Can I have that in something that makes more sense? Bring it down to my level.
This land is consecrated. It is holy to us. All that is in it belongs to us. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow we will cross paths with people who have not recognized that.
Gotcha.
People who have set up their idols, who have trespassed. And we will allow you to defend yourselves.
Are you going to try to convert us, or are we just along for the ride?
I don't have any plans for you. You're along for the ride, as you put it.
Thank you. I appreciate knowing where we stand.
I walk up to, I'm already right there. I walk up to his horse and I take out my shotgun, but not...
No, I got your meaning.
Yeah. And I hand it to him, and I say, can I keep my shotgun shells? There's no nefarious plan. There's actually like a story behind it.
All of them?
Yeah. I got 12. It was... Okay, this is, in light of everything here, this is going to sound really stupid and petty, but it was the run. It was last year. It was the run. I went to every single town. I deliver mail. He takes out a bundle of mail. It's like I deliver mail. And then I help people with their problems. I write contracts and stuff, and they pay me. Every single stop we make, I did that, and just out of sheer coincidence, the only thing that people had to pay me were shotgun shells. And he takes out the bag of shot. There's all different kinds, how they're colored and stuff,
right.
But they're all the same gauge. There's birdshot, buckshot, slugs in there and stuff. And he's like, but every single one. And it was this thing on the boat. He's looking around. Guys, this thing on the boat. It was like, after 3, it was like weird. But then there's no way that the next town, somebody's just going to pay me with a shotgun shell. And it happened 12 times, 12 stops. And it was the run, man. It was just a fun thing we did last year.
Would any of your friends vouch for your character?
No. Well, maybe. I hope so.
Which one?
What does that mean?
Joe, the most honest man I know.
Very well. I will allow you to keep the shotgun shells. We will check them at intervals of our choice. If any are missing or have been tampered with, then Joe's life is forfeit.
That's fine. I mean, it's not fine, but it's really actually horrible, but that's the deal, I guess. Joe? Does Joe get a say in this? I mean, I literally am not going to do anything nefarious about this. This is just... Look at the... Lee makes a motion, breach the shotgun, because it's a double-barrel shotgun.
Yeah.
Take a look inside.
Okay, he opens it.
It's not loaded. I literally have no desire to hurt anyone.
Then Joe will be unharmed.
Joe does not seem to. I mean, obviously he understands the conversation, but his only response is to look at Lee and shrug.
The deal is made.
Sorry.
No need.
He puts the shotgun shells back in his bag.
I so wanted to just drop one, fumble, put it in his bag.
And breadcrumbs.
Now to make the homemade shotgun trap.
That's right.
Is there anything else you guys are doing between now and evening?
No, I'm just trying to keep quiet and keep an eye on my surroundings.
Okay. Fair warning to the people listening. The remainder of this game, shit's going to get dark. Per the group's request, I will monitor. I will observe all the lines of things people asked not to be dealt with in any explicit manner in this game. Which the primary two that are could come up in this is you will not see violence against young children. There will not be any graphic descriptions of rape, etc., etc. But these are not good people they're with. So just fair warning. This I don't know. I don't have this game mapped out, but I do have notes here, and this could get really dark. So
Hey, you know, if somebody is barbecuing a human being to eat them, when in Rome,
yeah,
what stays in southern Missouri? What happens in southern Missouri stays in southern
more
Missouri.
central, but sure. Okay, yeah, central to southern Missouri.
This is meth country. It's time to get down.
All right, so when evening time comes, the group stops and we'll call it makes camp. They don't seem to do anything quite so organized as making a detailed camp. But you can tell they've been doing this long enough that they've at least figured out the basics. Meaning that they spread out. They're not like all in one giant mass. They're more in kind of clusters or clumps, squads, cliques. You're not sure how they've organized this, but they're in some kind of group. They do have perimeter. They do have people that seem to be taking up hiding places or watching the edges or making their bed for the night up in a tree or something like that. They do take from you guys anything that is, with exception of Chad's ammo, they take from you anything that is a firearm or explosive. If anyone is going to attempt to hide it, we're going to do that roll off now. So if anyone's going to attempt to palm something from them, I need to know now, because otherwise it will be a given that that's gone.
I am not.
Okay.
I mean, if I'm allowed to keep my knife and my cutlass,
Yes,
then,
your
yeah.
ridiculous sword is...
Ridiculously awesome, useful sword.
And you know what? If we didn't have them, we'd be facing tomorrow with like knives
yeah,
and
okay.
sticks.
Okay.
So yes,
Instead of my sweet 3d6 eat a bag of dicks.
Cutlasses?
I have the one rifle round that I wear around my neck with my amulet. Do they mess with that?
No, because if one's seen it, the way it's mounted, they would presuppose it's unpowdered.
Okay.
So no, they wouldn't take it because the way you wear it, because I mean, like, people today wear rifle rounds as jewelry. I mean, it's unusual, but I've seen it, and of course, they're not powdered.
Right.
So I think they would make the same presupposition that it means something else.
Okay.
And so no, they don't touch it.
Is there any light left when we stop and they set up camp?
Yes, it is dimming, but yes.
Okay.
Because, there's a thick cover of almost uniformly colored, kind of light to mid-gray colored clouds, and the sun behind those clouds is setting. So the light is dimming, but yes, there is still light.
I'm going to take out one of my books. Trying to grab one that is has not much in it, if anything at all. And I want to start writing.
Okay.
And I'm writing down all of my observations from the walk. Thinking how many people are this close to the IS. This is, if we survive, this is information that somebody might want.
Are you keeping a general record, or do you have any particular goal in mind that you're working toward?
It's general, but I'm making notes of there appears to be a hierarchy. There is a religion of some sort. There's
This is like his normal notes that he writes for business,
Right.
except there's no business, but
Right.
he's filling in the information anyway.
I want you to give me. I mean, of course, obviously, you succeed at that.
Right.
I want to see if you notice something, and this is going to take a hell of a roll because it's fairly obscure. But give me a 2d6, and I'll let you pick between social and intelligence, or social and smarts. So whichever's better for you.
do social.
All right. So 2d6 plus social. So this is going to take.
Ooh. 18.
Whoa!
Okay.
For Wayne, that's amazing.
Wayne, as you're going down making these notes, you, in just observing what they're doing and trying to take these notes, you're starting to notice a pattern in the calls. Like you're far from there,
Right.
but you think you may have the very, very first bits of decoding that language.
Okay, then in the future, as we go on, I'm going to pay more attention to that.
The Jane Goodall is. Pretty soon he's going to have the is getting blood diamonds for him.
Okay, so yeah, I'll focus on that going forward too to see if I can finish piecing it together. The whole time, just thinking if we survive, this is valuable information for anyone that protects us from ists.
Yes, okay. And listen, it's just kernel type stuff.
Right.
But you are starting to notice patterns in terms of probably what would come to your mind, given the fact that you're a riverman and a merchantman, is there is a code in steamships to the horns.
Right.
It's like a very simplified Morse code between long blast, short blast, the gap between blast. It's a really simplified Morse code. And as best as you can tell, you think that's what their language is. You don't know that it's really geared to signal complex ideas. Like, it's not striking you. The calls simply aren't long enough or distinct enough to be something like Morse code. They're not communicating complex ideas.
More simple, all clear.
Precisely. Now, they might get more detailed than that, but imagine a mid-step.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit more than an all clear, but we're not at the level of this is a truly formed language. But you're, like I say, you're not there. You got a ways to go. But just by coincidence, as you're making your notes and you start writing down all these, scouts and calls and responses, you start recollecting or noting that there is definitely a pattern to it that you're seeing emerge.
Okay. And partially I do this to calm myself. Not focus on this versus thinking about the fact that we are surrounded by a bunch of people that, given the option, will probably end up killing us.
All right. Does anyone do anything during the...
Yes.
Okay. What do you do?
I fingered Joe. No, Lee is sitting around the campfire. It's dusk, and Joe is sitting like there. Lee has one of his books out, and he's like appears to be moving his pencil around stuff, and he keeps looking up at Joe. He looks up at him. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Joe.
Yes.
Stop moving.
I
Stop moving. Tilt your head up.
Why?
You seem bothered. Everything okay?
That is arguably the stupidest question you have ever asked.
It is not. But how are you doing?
How do you think I'm doing?
Terrible, but I want you to tell me.
Well, I don't want
Keep
to.
your head up. Tilt your head up.
I don't want to tell you. I don't want to talk about it.
I think you are upset about Motomar.
I am upset about Motomar. Motomar is hurt, He almost died. I almost died. We all might still die. And God knows what horrors will be visited upon us before we do. So no, I'm not all right.
You like blame. Not in a bad way. You like to understand what's going on in your life. And when bad things happen, you want to understand why they happened. Part of that is who did what and why and when and how to fix it and how to make things better. I was standing right next to you when Modemar got shot. Who do you blame?
Well, I didn't shoot him. If that's the question you're asking.
It is not.
I don't know, Lee. Are you some kind of, I don't know, personality surgeon? Like, what is this about?
Whose fault is it that he's shot?
I don't know, Lee. You know the answer to everything. Whose fault is it that he got shot? Sorry, I moved my head.
You did. But that's okay. Do you believe that it's your fault that he got shot?
Of course it's my fault that he got shot.
Why?
You know, I'd really rather explain this to Modemar before I explain it to anybody.
You're not explaining it to me. You're explaining it to yourself. You keep it bottled up, it's going to crack you in half. Now, it hasn't even been 24 hours, and you're already making bad decisions from it.
And what bad decision have I made since shooting the Rat Man?
Why'd you tell the doctor to give him more drugs? Was it because he needed it or because you felt guilty?
Like Pops used to say, and I look at Lee for the first time in this conversation, a little column A and a little column B. I do feel guilty, but he also needed it.
Why did you ask him to shoot? Why did you ask him to kill the Rat Man? Or, I don't know him as a Rat Man, do I? That guy.
You probably in conversation,
Yeah,
they've been
it's-
using it. So
We'll say everybody knows.
yeah,
it.
even if you didn't before, you do now, because that's how they've been describing him in conversation. So
So why did you want the Rat Man dead?
Because for the first, why did I want the Rat Man dead?
Yeah.
Because Pops is gone. Because Lily's gone. Because I don't know why, but my gut tells me that everything that's happening, at least on the outskirts, has something to do with him and whatever interests he has and whatever manipulations he's engaged in St. Louis. A lot of this ties back to him. And because I want a simple life. And the two people that I cared most about at that time in my life are gone because of him. And the people that I care most about now are in danger because of him. But honestly, because I owed it to Pops and I owed it to Lily. That's it.
Seems pretty righteous to me. And Modemar, in his way, I think he loved Pops.
I know.
And he loved Lily.
I know.
And I think that if he had been just one step ahead in the conversation, there would have been no discussion about leash or killing or not. Ratman, he would have jumped Ratman. And you know what would have happened? Modemar would have gotten 3 bullets put in him. It's a dangerous life. This simple life you want, forget all this Ratman bullshit, the ists, all the politics in St. Louis, all that crap. It's a dangerous life. That boat could sink.
It could.
Half those sailors on that boat don't even know how to swim.
It could.
It's a
They could drown. You're right.
It's a dangerous life. They signed up on it.
Here's the... You really want to know the truth?
Absolutely. I want you to know the truth.
I already know the truth, and I already expressed the truth to Emily. And I'm afraid to tell you, because on some level, I'm afraid that you will use it against me. Or that you'll use it against the rest of the crew. Because on some level, and the people that you're close to are always the people that are going to be most honest with you. On some level, when I see you interact with people and I see you operate, I can see that you're steps ahead of them. And I know there's some part of you that considers the impact of your decisions and your behavior on other people. But there's a part of me that's afraid that you don't. And the reason that I'm upset is because the first time in my life, I thought ahead. But I didn't think ahead far enough. I mean, Jesus, I proclaimed to have loved Lily so much, but I couldn't even think clearly enough to remember her damn flute or her damn music. I just couldn't remember it. I couldn't think about it. But what I could think about is that if I asked Modemar to kill the Ratman, well, he would do it. He would do it without question. And if things went sideways and Modemar got hurt first, I'd still have the opportunity to kill the Ratman. So he'd be dead either way. And someplace in me was willing to sacrifice Modemar for that vengeance. I manipulated him. Frankly, it was easy. Now, I didn't think about why the Ratman was there. I didn't think about what Temper's militia would do. I didn't think about any of those things. In that moment, I just knew that if Modemar failed, I could still succeed. He's lying in that gurney or whatever the hell that is that they hobbled together. And he almost died simply because I asked him to do something that I was scared to do. And if he failed to do it, I could still pick up the pieces. I'm ashamed of myself for doing that. I'm ashamed of myself for not having the courage to shoot the Ratman myself. But mostly, I'm just so deeply ashamed that I used Modemar in that way. So yeah, it's my fault. The math doesn't work out any other way. So, if you're done, I reference to your sketch, I get up and I walk away.
As you're getting up, he says, do me a favor, wait just a moment. And he takes his sketchbook, if you do wait,
Yeah.
takes his sketchbook, and he slowly starts very carefully tearing a page out of it. Very, very carefully. He looks at it for a moment. Do you know why I'm on your boat?
Most of the time, no. Most of the time, I don't.
And he hands you the sketch, and he gets up and walks away.
I'm going to go sit next to Casey.
Okay.
Casey, you've heard most of the conversations we've had as best as possible. And Lee there gave the
You
impression...
make me cry in the real world.
Lee there gave the impression that he thought there was another Ist clan set up out here. I don't know of another Ist clan. We may end up tomorrow running across militias or townfolk that want to protect themselves from the Ist.
Playing the real game.
That's the real game. Right?
It is the real game.
Casey pulls out a leather flask and takes a really long hit of it and shakes his head. No. You're not going to see another militia tomorrow. You're not going to see another Ist clan tomorrow. I think it's best if you just go to sleep and let tomorrow take care of itself.
I was kind of thinking maybe if we were going to run into a militia or something like that, it might be an opportunity if you were ready for it for us to get out of here.
That's not going to happen.
You know what we're going to run into tomorrow, don't you? What's worse than an Ist?
A hungriest.
Becoming one. There's only one thing west of here that I'm aware of. The Green family farmstead.
Okay. I understand.
They, throughout the warmer months, keep a lot of hired hands, try to get them to stick around during the colder months to help aid the defense of the farmstead. Usually St. Louis sends out a fair number of patrols to keep an eye on them too, watches the broader area.
St. Louis is too busy right now.
And those hired hands may be running home to see their families. Don't repeat this to anyone.
There's nothing we can do, is there?
No. The only thing you get to decide is how much you care to participate. And I would hope that's not a struggle.
I don't know what I'm going to do when I see some of this. Joe's not the kind of man to just watch it happen.
Then I think we may have to make some hard decisions about how much we want to respect his conscience versus preserving his life. That's why I didn't care to tell anyone. And I don't want you telling anyone. He's got no gun, and if he doesn't know what's coming, by the time he formulates a response, hopefully it's over. He can hold a grudge as long as he wants. Hell, I hope he gets acted out someday. But he won't. The Rat Man was playing at a game. These people don't play at anything.
I don't think I'm getting any sleep tonight.
I think you should do your best too, because you sure as shit ain't getting it tomorrow night. And if you do, what's going to happen is you're going to wake up about every hour or two with the exact same dream. And I don't know what that dream's going to be, but you're going to see something tomorrow, and that's going to be what's in every one of them. That one moment is going to be frozen in your mind, And you are going to see it again and again and again. And you sure as hell are not going to sleep tomorrow. Tonight, you can only imagine what that is. I assure you the reality is far worse. Look at what Joe's going through. You know what happened to Joe? He died back there. He died because for the first time in his life, he had to kill somebody. He chose to kill somebody. That takes something away from you. I died the first time that I went into the pits.
Casey, can I ask a favor of you?
Sure.
Make sure Joe makes it out tomorrow alive.
Oh, I'm not worried about us losing the fight.
That's not what I mean. If he tries to do anything, keep him from doing it. If I do something, it's my choice, and I chose my morals over my life.
So why can't Joe do that?
Because I'm asking you not to let him. He's not thinking clearly right now.
It's not normally the sort of thing I may do. Man's got to choose his own way.
Yep. Right now he's holding a lot of blame for a lot of things that aren't his fault, and he's liable to not make a clear decision.
All right, I'll make you a deal. I'll get him through tomorrow. Until the moment you go down. If you go down, contract's over. And I stop minding him.
I understand. I head over and I try to sleep, but I doubt I get much.
Following morning, crack of dawn.
Lee's awake.
You very well might be. I
Lee's
mean,
an early riser.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's established
It's actually on his
before.
character sheet.
It's on his character sheet.
Okay.
He's a very early riser.
You're very early, so maybe you get up like when it's,
Yeah, sun is just barely.
yeah,
into that.
barely that sort of blue-gray color, and that cloud cover is still there.
Don't want to waste any good reading light.
That's
And
right.
There's a sharp, cold wind blowing in from the west.
Racing.
And you can, there's a fair amount of activity amongst them as they're mounting up. The ones that have horses, those that don't, they're catching their weapons, taking them, getting them ready, and you can see that there's this zeal about them. There's this fire to their eyes, where, I mean, they always seemed a lot edgy, alert, kind of feral, but it's like a whole different set of creatures has woken up. And in the middle of all of them is Koresh atop his horse with that. Well, Wayne, for your benefit, it's a mace, but it's not a mace in the sense of like D&D mace.
Right.
It's mace, think like it could be used as a weapon, but the ones that were used more like, they are still used in some places. They're about 5 or 6 feet tall. They're as much staff or scepter as they are mace.
Yeah.
So it's like that. He could use it as a weapon, but it's more of a religious or ceremonial implement, at least in its general structure. And that's what he's holding. He's sitting there atop his horse, hardly moving and saying nothing as everyone else gets himself ready. And an individual, one of the you have no idea what his name is. You've seen him with you guys. You don't know what his name is. Says, "All right, boys, get ready. It's going to be good."
I pull Lee aside, where I don't think Joe can hear at least. But do you know what's about to happen? Have you figured it out?
Probably some people are going to get eaten. That's what I'm thinking.
There's not another clan out here.
Yeah. Just a lot of people.
I just kind of nod at him, acknowledging that you figured it out as well.
So do they have any sort of retinue or guard by Motomar?
The couple of people carrying him, plus the Dr. Marshall's with him, giving him a sort of morning checkup.
Okay. Then I will make my way over there. Obviously, just sort of do a rudimentary check of the blade of my cutlass before I put it back in the sheath, and I'll step back over by Modamar because I want to make sure that Modamar has someone. Okay, let's not say someone he can trust. Want to make sure that I'm near Modamar to defend him in case he needs being defended.
Okay.
But also Dr. Marshall in case she needs it.
This pissed guy is kind of following behind you, and it's like, you gonna hang back with the cripple?
I owe the cripple a debt. I owe the doctor a debt.
Today we're gonna, man. Okay, you pay your debts, but today we're gonna pop your cherry, make you a man.
I'm not. I've been with a woman before.
Oh, not like this, you ain't. Here, take that sword out.
Okay, I pull my cutlass.
All right, he draws out a blade of his own. It appears to be reworked from some kind of agricultural, like possibly a machine, like a cutting blade. It may have come off a lawnmower or something like that, but it's been reworked, reforged into a sort of makeshift sword or machete. And it's kind of this crude but brutal looking chopping implement. And he holds his in front of yours, and he smacks one hand into the palm of the other, holding that kind of in this rhythm. Says, "Come on, man, can't you feel it? Your heart pumping."
You're insane.
No. Come with me. Forget this guy. He's going to be fine.
I'd prefer to stay back with him and Dr. Marshall, but thank you.
Papa ain't going to let nothing happen to him. Too valuable. Trust me. He's fine.
Who's Papa?
To him, he kind of motions over Koresh. He ain't going to let nothing happen to this guy. You got to know that. Come on.
Is this conversation happening?
Yeah,
Literally right next to you.
Yeah, right next to you.
All right. I reach out and I up underneath his legs and I grab a hold of his junk.
Oh, he screams and starts turning out like, let go! Oh, fuck!
Call me a cripple again.
Fuck! Fine. Oh, fuck! God damn it! If you were not under Papa's protection, the shit I do to you. Oh.
We can sort that out later.
Mike.
Now get out of here.
Wait. Apologize to the man.
He's the one that grabbed my dick.
Apologize to the man for disrespecting him.
He looks over at Koresh, and Koresh, he barely just turns his head like a few degrees that direction and says, "If you forgive only your friends, do not even the pagans do that." And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
Thank you.
Oh!
Have a nice day.
Oh! He limps.
Now I look over at Lee and I go, like Pops always used to say, you never know a man until you got his junk in your hand.
So true in so many situations.
Sonia sighs and she just takes her hands out of her doctor's bag, throws it in the air, and goes, "What the hell was wrong with this Pops guy? No wonder this entire crew is a complete circus. If this is the man that you idolize, you have modeled yourselves after his insanity and succeeded wonderfully, if I might add.
Joe.
Either that or he's history's most misrepresented individual. I don't know which."
Joe cracks a smile for the first time in 36 hours, and he looks at Lee, looks at Modamar, and goes, "I thought it was mouth."
Okay.
Junk in your
Pops always said, if
You don't really know a man until you've got your junk in his mouth. Or mate, his junk in your mouth. I don't.
Your mouth just reverse.
Yeah.
Pops always said, if you ain't a little bit crazy, you ain't honest with yourself.
No, he said if you ain't a little bit crazy, you probably like beef jerky. I didn't really understand that one.
Didn't he say stay close to doctors? They have the best drugs.
Fine, you have it all. You're close to doctors. You have your junk. You have your column A's and B's. You're anally crazy or whatever it is you're striving to be. Do you really think now is the time to be emulating and quoting, with all respect, a man who burned himself alive? Because that's kind of what I'm seeing here.
He was the best.
I kind of lean in closer. Something horrible's about to happen. I'm whispering this. Something horrible's about to happen. And if he keeps himself distracted talking about Pops, we might all survive this.
All right. Fine. Pops quotes it is.
All right. So I look down at Motomar. Are you going to be okay?
I look at the two guys that are going to be carrying my litter. I go, well, I guess so.
Do you know what's about to happen?
I have an idea. I don't know why we got to go.
The group begins moving out, by the way. They're at a walking pace, but as they're going, they start this kind of, it's fairly low and quiet, but they start this chant whereby they bang a weapon against the surface or clap their hands together. They do something to make noise and just kind of go, huh, huh, huh. As they do it, you see, like, they don't raise the volume, but there's an emotional intensity to it that picks up as they, and you can see as they look at each other, their eyes keep getting just a little bit wider, a little bit wilder. It's, something is unquestionably not right here. And I'll let you guys decide how your characters react to that, if at all.
Joe would probably realize I am very agitated.
All right. So let's take a few steps in their direction. Obviously, curious where they're going.
I reach out and grab you by the shoulder. No,
Philip,
we're staying with Motomar.
Oh, okay.
I'll look over at Joe and I'll say, remember, I didn't want you to see any of this.
And I look at you and I have this sheer look of terror on my face.
See any of what? But I don't look at Motomar. I look at Philip. What is going on?
I look around. We can't save them. We just get ourselves killed. I don't want to do this. I don't want to see this either.
Can't save who? What are you talking about?
There's no other tribe. There's innocents. And they're about to slaughter and eat them.
So I turn and break away from Philip's grip. I start out in a dead run after drawing my cutlass, and I'm holding something in my left hand.
I look over at Casey to see if he's moving to stop him.
He's watching.
And the thing that falls out of my left hand is a piece of paper that is folded up, and I start making a dead run, cutlass in hand, after the group, after the ists.
Oh no, you're in the middle of them.
All right.
They're right there, all around you.
I reach down at the paper that's crumpled up.
It's folded.
Is there a particular person you're running at? Or you're running?
I'm gonna if I'm on their tail, I'm gonna try to circumvent them and get to the front of the pack.
So you're trying. Okay,
I'm gonna try to outpace them if I can.
Okay, so you're trying to in-run them. Give me a 2d6 plus speed check, unless you have something weird like a. I don't think you
I do not. Yeah.
So 2d6. I don't think you're going to have a problem doing this.
2 6s.
So add another die.
So that is a 1622.
Okay, you have no problem not only, I mean, you are at such a sprint that you not only make your way past the group of them that are at a fast walk, but even like the couple scouts that have their horses not like at a gallop, but at a bit of a trot, you even actually outpace the scouts, and as you start to run, you hear all these high-pitched calls come up behind you, and you realize whether you've intended this or not, they've interpreted like you've just started a charge.
I look down at Monomar.
But you are outrunning them. Okay?
All right.
I mean, at this moment, you are outrunning them. The only things you cannot possibly outrun are the horsemen.
Right.
But the horsemen don't seem to be on a charge. They seem more like they charge past you, but then circle wide and go back. They seem to be holding a much more broad circle along the edges.
Right.
So right now, there is a modest-sized army of Is behind you that has broken into a charge, and you are leading them by, I don't know, 200 yards maybe.
So what
I look down at Motomar as he does this and say, I might have to do something. No. If I do, it's to save Joe's life. And then I look back and just watch.
So, with that said, so if I pass them, so I wanted to run in the general direction that they were marching. Do I see what their intended target is?
Okay.
Do I see another group of people?
So yeah, you run ahead of them. It is a tiring run. I don't know what sort of physical shape you're in because
Body 7 player.
Okay. And what's your speed?
Speed 6.
Okay, so you're above average.
Right.
So I mean, because you spend most of your life on a boat, so I didn't know.
Yeah, lifting heavy shit.
Yeah.
And, being lean. And
You guys keep a portcullis just so you can bend bars, lift gates, and so you take off ahead of them. You're running through some trees and whatnot, past some abandoned houses and old gas stations, and eventually crest a hill, and at the bottom you see, stretching off for quite a distance, are farm fields, and in the midst of them, more or less located on this side, is a farmhouse and a barn.
Were they growing pot?
Some grain silos, some storehouses. Looks like a fairly large farm that's meant to keep its food for significantly more than anyone living here would need. They probably are they're probably under one of the houses in St. Louis.
so, if stopping for a moment to where the light bulb strikes and I realize what's about to happen.
Looking way down, you see a man. You can't make out too many details of him. But just by the hat and the way he's dressed and his general stance, you're guessing it's a man. Kind of has his hand over his eyes and is like kind of squinting up the hills. He sees you just standing there by yourself, but here's this great ruckus beside you, or behind you rather, that he has no visibility of yet.
I want to start running down the hill as fast as I can and screaming as loudly as I can, run. Run! They're coming! Run!
Throw a run, you motherfucker, in there. Get on the down low like your part. Yeah, I told those run.
Okay. Philip, back towards the back line as this break out into a charge, which creates a certain amount of chaos when one of the mounted guys, who's not one of the outer scouts, starts to run past. Casey reaches up and just grabs him. That was the die roll I just made. Casey reaches up and just full hand into his chest, knocks him off his horse, and then grabs the saddle horn himself, and he kicks the horse into a gallop and takes off running past the group. Or we're trying to make his way faster than the main charge.
Are any of them moving Modamar, or is he staying put?
They are moving him. Now, they can't keep up with the charge.
No, I'm staying with Modamar
Yeah.
very close.
And Koresh, though, he is holding back, so he is toward the... He's not staying with the charge. He is ahead of you guys, but he is well behind the main charge, and there are a couple of what you don't know if he's assigned these people, or they're his inner circle, or what the relationship
You
is.
love my nuts, don't you?
Lagoons that are holding back
You love my beans.
and kind of keeping an eye on.
He's close enough that if he yells out an order, I would hear it?
Yes.
Okay. I am listening very closely to what he says.
Okay. At this point, he is saying nothing.
Okay.
Okay. Joe, as you're running, a horse catches up to
It's gonna
you.
suck.
Okay. Can you give me? I'm going to give you a 3-point penalty on this.
Okay.
Do you have anything combat oriented in terms of hand-to-hand combat?
Negative.
Okay, then give me a 2d6, and I will let you pick between body speed and agility.
Body it is.
Okay. And take 3 points off the roll.
So 6, 13.
Okay. So as you are running along, you hear a horse coming up behind you very quickly, and struggle as you might, you are picked up like a rag doll and put on a saddle. It's kind of uncomfortable because the saddle really wasn't meant for two, and Casey's huge.
Right.
But you're in a very, very uncomfortable position in front of Casey. Now might be a good time to tell him what you want for Christmas.
Well, for a moment, I assume it's an ist. Because I didn't see him, right? He just grabs me, scoops me up.
Oh, yeah, that's totally possible.
Yeah, so I assume he's an ist. So I resist as much as possible, but also try to continue screaming run while I'm struggling. I mean, I know that it's not all physically or logistically doable in equal measure, but I'm trying.
Okay. Casey, he still keeps the horse at a gallop and is moving it forward, but as he's urging the horse on, says, they aren't going to escape.
When I realize it's Casey, I'm like, well, then put me down and save somebody.
There ain't no running from this.
Well, then put me down.
I promised Phil I wouldn't do that.
Philip's on the shit list.
He can clean the bilge if we ever find one.
We have to do something, Casey. You're fucking enormous. We have to do something.
I'm fucking enormous. They're a fucking army. Welcome to helplessness.
Then we die doing the right thing.
You do that, it ain't just you that's going to die. It ain't just me that's going to die. Lee dies. Philip dies. Dr. Marshall dies.
Fine. I'll stop fighting him.
I got one play. I'll make you a deal. You go to the back, and you watch none of what's about to happen. And I will save one person.
Oh,
Okay. Deal.
He slows up the horse and helps you dismount. and then immediately kicks it back up into a gallop. Now, well ahead of the charge. Because the charge isn't at a gallop. The charge is at a human running pace. They're not at a horse's full speed. Right. And so he's now well ahead of the group.
Okay. I sheath my cutlass and turn my back on the farm and start walking back to what was the IST camp.
The IST charge around you, their cries, their yells, they've gone from chants to now, I mean, just this deafening howl as they run past you, it's just this thunder of horse hooves of people's feet. Then you start to hear occasional gunshots, and you hear a lot of yelling. You hear some that sounds like battle cries, some that sounds like their yells. You hear some that sound like panic, like pain, like suffering. You hear a woman screaming no. You hear more gunshots here and there. You hear a lot of things that you would prefer not to remember. And this goes on for several minutes. And then things go a bit more quiet, and you hear what sound like celebratory cheers. And then there's a brief moment where it pauses, and you hear some more howls and some hoofbeats, and then a lone gunshot. And then it's a moment of silence, and then back to the cheers again. And then you start to see bits of smoke coming up from over the horizon.
Do you head back where Motomar is?
I do.
You see, as you kind of come up, Philip has tears on his face and just is stricken. And he looks at you. I know what you're thinking.
And Joe, too, has tears on his face.
I've been living with knowing that I couldn't do anything since last night. The only person I could save was you. And I almost did just what you did. But Casey told me if I fell, he wouldn't protect you. He's a smart man.
I look at you real serious. Like I look at Lee sometimes. And I just say, tempting offer. And then I walk away.
A guy on horseback rides up to Koresh and tosses him a burlap sack, which Koresh opens, looks in it, turns his horse, and rides back to where you guys are gathered around Motomar. He says, I couldn't help but overhear last night when you talked about the injustices of those that have the means that will not share with those that have the needs. Those barns are full of grain. He takes the bag and turns it over, and out of it pours a mix of wheat and corn and just a bunch of cereal grains.
I recoil. He's a serial killer.
How to take a bull away for that. and they are full of things that will keep us fed throughout this winter. Not just the soldiers, but the women, the children, all the faithful will eat.
The spider and the fly.
But it appears we have a more important matter to attend to. He turns his horse around as up from the hill, or up over the hill, the is begin trickling back, they have in their hands all kinds of stuff. Basically anything not bolted down. Candlesticks, candle stands, silverware, some weapons that appear in pretty good shape, lots of bags of food. Some of it they've got thrown over the horses. Animals they didn't previously have. Just all kinds of stuff. Piles of metal nails. I say you name it. And you can still see the smoke now getting thicker, but rising from that area.
I asked Koresh, what farm was that? What was the family's name?
He turns his horse around and motions with his hand, and one of the other because in fact it was the one that was hounding Joe earlier, says, "Mail for the mailman," and tosses it up to Koresh, and Koresh opens it, and he pulls out several letters, some in sealed envelopes, some open, half-written, or whatever, and thumbs through him, and says, finally, after thumbing through them, looks at you and says, "They called themselves the Milton Farmstead."
May I have their mail to deliver?
He tosses it into your arms without really a second thought. And he says that's not the issue at hand. There's, up with the S, comes a boy who's looks maybe 17, teenager, older teenager, ruddy in appearance, looks a bit older than he probably actually is because of working on a farm. But you guys have seen enough people like that looking between the lines. You're guessing he's 17, maybe 18. And he is holding in his arms a very young girl, a girl who can't be more than maybe 3. She would be more like toddler age. And Koresh, upon having them marched up with this around them, yelling and howling and making their sounds, and both of them look absolutely terrified. The little girl is what herself, and they stop in the middle of them, and it's start encircling them. But Koresh, he just simply rides through them, and they part. He doesn't have to push any of them aside. They part as he comes through, and he dismounts and drops to the ground and says, "There is something here that may yet be of use to us alive, and as it is, and thus we shall put them on trial, we shall put them in test to see if they are worthy." Tell me, which of you, and he says, looking to the group, except conspicuously never looking at Motomar, would die that someone else might live? Okay.
And I take one look at him and I say, "So what you see now, didn't notice as it happened." I stick a knife down to Motomar's throat. I look him in the eyes and I look up at Koresh and I say, "You're gonna let that boy and that girl go, or he dies."
Wayne, give me 2d6 plus perception.
5 plus 8.
Okay, you at least got a
14.
12. Okay, Charles, you at least got a 12. You catch in the back, kind of near the back of them, Casey is sitting there on atop his horse, and he's very trying not to be noticed by anyone but you, but is trying to make as much a scene as he can, so he will be noticed by you. He is shaking his head, mouthing "No, no, no" over and over again, as trying to with his hand in short motions, trying to wave you off.
And I make eye contact with him. I look at Joe. I look at Lee. I look down at Motomar.
I walk over to Philip. My back to them, my face to you. And all I do is I put my hand on your hand that's holding the knife, and I look right at you. And I go, "Don't do it.
I can't let them hurt that girl.
Every day they hurt people.
Casey writes.
But I don't watch it every day.
Casey writes.
I
forward.
cannot let them hurt that girl.
This is about you.
Koresh says the boys' trial will come first.
This won't stop them. And it'll end up with you dead, and us dead, and at the end of it, the children will be dead.
I look up at him. Is there any bargain you'll make for the girl? To give her to me.
Koresh hands hands Lee's shotgun to the boy. And he says, prove that you can be loyal to us. The man that he's holding a knife to, he is sacred to us. He is part of a holy lineage. Save his life and you can become one of us. And the kid puts the girl down and whispers, it's going to be okay. And immediately turns the gun upward at Koresh, and you just hear a click. And Koresh, with one swing of his mace, splatters his head and says, and now let us see what this little girl may yet be molded into. And Casey rides forward and says, Koresh, don't lay a hand on her. Koresh turns around and says, you would tell me what to do. Casey says, if you touch her, you'll die. Koresh says, you would threaten my life? And Casey says, oh, not me. Ma will threaten your life. And he throws a leather cord over to Koresh, who catches it and looks at it. And then looks up at Casey, looks down again at what he's holding, looks at the little girl, and says, put her with him. They're to be protected the same way. And tosses the cord back to Casey and says, settle our affairs here. We will rest, we will eat, we will make sure we have found everything and everyone, and then we will continue on.
I pull the knife away. I look you in the eyes. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I trust you.
The
And I kind of I look up at Koresh and just kind of I'm waiting to see, is he going to let that stand?
he turns away.
Okay.
And so the little girl's just standing there. I mean, the Is have backed away from her. And some of them, I mean, they still kind of like look at her, almost like a zoo animal, but they don't touch her. They don't do anything to her. She's just sitting there bawling and screaming. But beyond that, they're not, the Is are doing nothing to her. She's just standing there in this dingy sort of like pink and white dress, just screaming her head off and her eyes out, but they're not harming her.
I'm going to see if she'll let me approach her. And
she's in total hysterics. You approach her, she doesn't do anything. She is effectively just, I mean, she's utterly unresponsive. She's, I mean, deafening
right.
at this point. You think she probably could have screamed down the Ist army, but she does not resist anything you do to her.
Okay. I'm going to try to hug her, rock her, trying to calm her. I am crying myself as I try to calm her. And I know it's not going to calm, but...
Brother's kind of headless-ish, sort of, but not exactly. Body is literally a matter of feet away from her.
Yeah, and I'm turning her so she doesn't look at it.
Thank you, Charlie, for getting that LARP reaction from Chad.
Yeah,
I'm trying to keep him away.
I'm rocking, I'm crying, and I'm just kind of holding her, letting her cry it all out.
Casey gets off his horse, walks over to you, and he drops the leather cord, like, just sort of where it kind of lands such that it's stuck on you. I mean, I know you don't have a free hand.
Yeah.
He just drops it over your shoulder to where it's stuck on you, and says, I told you I'd save one person. Oh, no, he told Joe that.
Yeah, I did.
And he walks past him to Joe and says to Joe, I told you I'd save one.
Thank you.
I look over at Casey and kind of I nod at him. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
I look at the cord. What's so special about it?
It's a leather cord. You have no idea where he got it from. I mean, quite frankly, could have been cut from anything. So, I mean, but it's a leather cord, and it is tied much in the same way yours is, though the knotting looks a bit more hasty and less artistic around the rifle round.
Okay. Like it was just recently done?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
He walks over to you, Modamar, leans in close, and whispers, I just gave him the very distinct impression that that's your daughter.
I nod.
Don't correct that.
Ever.
Okay. And I look at him confused. I won't.
Good. He turns around and walks his way, even his face looking... You don't know what he saw down there, but it's quite haunted.
So, Modamar, why did you leave all this?
I knew it was wrong. When my mother died, she didn't want me to be among it. So after she died, I knew that I needed to go. I needed to see something else. I knew there had to be a better way.
Were you were born into this?
My mama never said that. She just said that she wanted it. She always wanted something better for me. I like to think that I was born to better, and that's why I wanted to see better. Mama didn't talk about much about before.
Were you ever tested like that?
You mean eat people?
No, did they?
Yes.
I don't know. Did they ever make me kill people?
Did they ever put you on trial like they did that boy they just killed?
No. They knew who I was. They didn't know who he was.
Did they make you kill people?
Yes. Before I met Pops, I killed 5 people.
How old were you when you met Pops?
14?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I think I'd only been with
You were
Pops.
relatively-
Yeah,
I mean-
we did the 5 year before, so that would put me at That would have put me at 14. So
That would put you 14 then, but you'd already known Pops for a little bit. I thought it was younger than that. I thought he picked you up as a child. Like, not a young child.
Like 8 or
but-
9.
Yeah, something like that. I thought he got you as a... So it's certainly young to have been doing such disturbing things, but
Right.
not... I mean, like child soldiers is obviously not impossible. It's just...
right. I never went on a hunt. The men I killed, I did in defense of myself or of my mother when they tried to do things. The last one I killed was the one that killed my mother.
The group is eventually migrated down to the farmstead. The house is still standing, but the fields which have been mostly harvested, what's left out there is being burned. They are emptying out the other structures, loading up themselves, their horses, their backpacks, which as much as they can. In some cases, they're making good old cost-benefit analyses, though you wouldn't use such sophisticated terms to decide to leave this but take that, or drop this but keep this. But you can see that they are prioritizing things like food and what herbal and home remedy sort of medicine this farmstead has to take with them.
Does Koresh ever like try to talk to me after that point, or come near me at any point?
He's never all that far from you. If you ever attempted to talk to him, he'd be within earshot. But no, he does not approach you, nor does he really talk to any of the men. He just keeps himself, he just sits atop that horse and generally just, I mean, you can't tell because he's got this, it's a gas mask that he's wearing more like a mask. It's too tattered to actually work as a gas mask. But you're guessing behind that mask is just 1,000-yard stare. I mean, he very rarely seems to move, seems to look around. He just seems like he's always lost in this sort of reverie.
As he's staring off, like watching what's going on, I make the litter bearers take me a little bit closer to him.
Okay, make him black.
And then if I just sit there for a minute until he maybe acknowledges my presence, and then I'll say, and I'll kind of nod towards the burning building and all the mayhem, and I'll say, "How is this better than whoring?"
When a man sleeps with his wife, he is not whoring himself out. When a man sleeps with a whore, he and the whore become of one flesh, and thus defile the temple of God.
And laying with someone, and murdering someone, and eating someone, those are not different things?
We have slain the trespassers, those that have no right to be upon this holy ground. We have taken their belongings as the things that are rightly due ours. We have struck them down as one would a man who breaks into his home.
I don't understand.
You will when you see a tribe of people eat this winter.
What about trade or paying or working or the things that honest people do?
You think this does not work to protect these lands, to monitor them, to move about them, constantly under the watch of the greatest of all the Baals? You think that is not difficult? You think that is easy?
I look around. I say, yes. I've seen people work hard. Killing a man is not hard. Killing a child is not hard. Sowing a field is hard. Loading a boat is hard.
Pulling an individual weed is not difficult. Weeding a field is.
I just shake my head. I don't understand. Then I look over at the girl and I look back at him and I say, she is not to be touched. You know this.
Of course. Mother has demanded as much. No offspring of her sister is to come back with so much as one hair harmed by our hands.
And then I look over at Philip and then I look back at him and I say,
And I'm with the girl. I haven't left her side.
okay, so then I just kind of like motion over and I say, so I'm kind of ambiguous about it. So I motion towards either Philip or the girl and I say, what would have happened? What would have happened if hairs were harmed?
Then it would be up to Ma to determine my fate.
Then I nod. Okay. And then are we still in the kind of the same area or we moved on?
You're still basically in the same area. They're cleaning up the loot from the farm. They're organizing it for transport.
What about the boy, the dead boy?
His body's still splattered up over the crest.
All right. And then I just kind of smile at him, kind of almost like a wicked smile. And I say, what is she going to do to you when she finds out you brained her brother?
He leans back on his horse a bit. And then he leans forward again. Says, hopefully by then she will understand the righteousness of what had to be done. Not all children go astray.
I just smile at him. And I, like, with my good leg, I kick one of the litter bearers and say, get me out of here.
All right, they continue their work on the farm for a little bit. They also, as they loot the house, they begin passing out food to everyone, including you guys. They do give you food to eat, and I don't mean humans. I mean, like, they give you...
The mystery jerky.
Yeah, no, it's jerky you can identify. They give you things like salted beef. They give you things like bread. So they do provide you with food to eat that's taken from the farm. What you guys do with it is up to you, but...
Consume it into my body and make it part of me. And then I poop it.
Chad, level up.
Not Lee. Chad.
Chad, yes, you personally level up.
I try to get the girl to eat first.
Oh, goodness gracious. Give me a social check on that one and wow me with some 3-digit roll.
111.
17.
Wow.
Almost.
Fire tonight.
You come close. You get her to put food in her mouth and chew on it, and then she just sort of, as she's crying, it just crumbles out of her mouth. So,
She's 3.
yes, or thereabouts. You don't know her exact age, but she appears to be about thereabouts.
It's the best I can do.
After the group...
You just put the baby down like, that's it. I'm done. We're leaving her.
Just got to turn up Oprah until I get here. Let her cry this one out.
See, and you say you don't have kids, but you understand.
Hey, I'm like everyone, no kids. I'm the best parent in the world. I know exactly how it works.
That's right. You don't try and gloss over this shit.
So after a little bit of time spent there, by what you would guess is early afternoon, the caravan begins moving on again and continuing westward. Is there anything that anyone wants to declare, because the westward travels will take a couple of days? Is there anything that anyone wants
Did
to...
they give us our guns back?
No.
Oh, shit. That was a really crappy shotgun, too. It was all like falling apart and crap.
Well, I mean, you don't know that they haven't destroyed them. They just haven't returned them to you.
It was near and dear to me. I use it so much.
Like you know, when you're eating and you have a big book, you set it on the book and
Yeah,
hold it
yeah,
up.
yeah. Use it to turn off lights. I mean, that's,
Right. Get someone's attention.
yeah. Call a waitress. You know?
Right. A straw.
A straw.
I'm just lost without it.
So what does Joe do during all this march? Does he talk to anyone? Stay quiet?
Stays quiet, sticks to himself.
Philip never leaves the girl's side.
Chad, what do you intend to do with this bag of mail?
So they gave me, like, what exactly did they give me? Is it just mail and correspondence that the Miltons had? Or does it look like there was a mailman there and then who got popped?
So as you start looking
Yeah.
at it, it's called the Milton Farmstead. Milton's actually a first name. The man that, or the individual that owned the farm, and you're guessing just by context, was probably if Joe tells you about the person he saw, probably that person is a man by the name of Milton Green. And what is in there appears to have been somebody just dumped a writing desk in here, because you do find some things that don't quite match, like a thimble, and I mean, just random crap.
Yeah.
A blotter, like a literal like ink blotter. But you find in there letters that were addressed to them, letters that were intended to go out, which is probably why they still had the food, because these letters were probably meant to go out with whatever caravan from St. Louis would have picked up that food. And then there's also some random stuff like pay ledgers for the farm hands and just a bunch of administrativia that you don't think was meant for anyone but them. It just so happened to be in the same desk.
Is there anything personal? Or is it just all administrative? Like this was his books that he was keeping, and they don't know how to read, and they just dumped it into a bag, and
yes,
it's like, here's paper for the guy who can read. Ha ha ha! What a jerk.
You do find some personal effects. You find in what you're guessing is, because the handwriting on all of these appears to be the same. So you're guessing that there was one individual who kept the records, may have been Milton. You're guessing as much by the fact that a lot of things you see are signed either with his name or his initials. So you're guessing this was his writing desk. There's drafts of a love letter, like a love poem. It's terrible, but there are several drafts and several attempts at it that are directed to his wife. And there is also... you find in there is a signed, sealed, and outbound letter that does not, well, obviously has never been delivered, but you notice that the address on it is really vague. It's just one name, which is Quiver.
Okay. I put that letter with my real mail, and I don't open it. I don't open any sealed mail. I take the just outright administrivia, like the account books and stuff, and unless any of the paper in it is salvageable, like, you know, there's a notebook with accounts and only 5 pages out of 100 are used, I'll keep that notebook.
Yeah, you do find some blank paper.
Okay, I salvage what I can into my personal supplies. Anything that's not salvageable is just straight up administrivia, unless I can identify something out of it, like the business stuff? Can I make any connections with business and how it might help us in any way, or learn something about the surrounding area? Like, say, okay, we're going to trade with that town and that town and that town. Like, okay, well, I kind of now know where we're at, maybe, or
House Holloway was the house that would have normally. No, actually, it wasn't Holloway. I can't remember who it is that handles grain. But it's why I forget one of the other houses. One of the houses you guys haven't had a bump in with yet. I actually did write their name, but I'm not going to dig through my notes to find it. So
Sure.
some other nth house that deals with what they did, what they specialized in, which is cereal grains. They apparently came and went fairly often. And from what you're reading in here, the farmhands, they apparently did not generally stay here. They would stay here part of the year, but then would go back to families in riverside towns or go back north with the caravan to St. Louis, and which is where they would stay. And you can see that there's not, you're guessing there was not a lot of cash left because these people had been cashed out early. Usually the way this would work is these farmhands would stick around to help load the caravans. They were actually paid out and sent home before the caravan ever came. Now, you don't know what the motivation was for that, but that is, in all probability, the only reason they're alive. But they were paid out and sent home early, which would mean that Mr. Green did not have the money on hand to pay these people. Or would not have had the money on hand from the caravan. So what he was paying them out of would have been some other fund, which may explain why amongst the things you've seen the IS hauling off, while there are some things you would describe as valuable for one reason or another, you've not seen them coming out with like large coin boxes or things like that.
okay, well, I go through it and I pretty much discard the scrap. I mean, they're not going to be paying their taxes this year. No. So I, it's kindling for fire. I try to be, there's a part of me that's like, okay, I need to be respectful. But then again, it's count sheets for a farm that's on fire and the people are dead. So even if there were survivors, it wouldn't help them, and they're not going to feel feelings for this. Now, I bundle the love poems and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I put that into my bundle. It's not very much stuff, so I can carry it around. Just note to myself, if I ever run into anybody, that is related or knew them even, or even maybe the mayor of the next town will know somebody, or a church has registry, I'm just going to keep an ear out.
Okay.
And then maybe I can hand it over. Then I walk up to Joe and I go, we have business. Hold your hand out, please.
Shrug and hold my hand out.
I put a silver coin in your hand.
Okay.
I go, the quiver was Pop's boat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are the sole heir and head officer. Is that correct?
Yes.
I have a letter for you. He holds out his hand for the coin.
I know. So, for those of you at home, I had erased one silver coin on my character sheet, changed it to 2 silver coins on my character sheet. Now I have to erase the S and the 2 and rewrite the 1.
Lee is such a pain in the ass.
And by the way, Broder's character sheets, one of these days I'm going to scan them. I'm going to turn his handwriting into a font because he writes weirdly well. I mean, the man types with a pen. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, and I want to copy my notes because I have great things like Administrivia, Bureaucratic Technoban, C-SPAN meets 9 Inch Nails. Administrivia? Come on, that's like a badass bureaucratic, industrial
album.
yeah, industrial band that just
Tonight we're
that
going to
just
be rocking
samples
out
that just samples
Administrivia.
it samples C-SPAN. That's all it is just samples of C-SPAN. I'm sorry, that was
Blitzen, blitzen, blitzen.
quorum.
Democrat from Vermont. Democrat.
Sorry, that was like the worst digression that I have had the entire campaign. I'm so sorry, but you're welcome. I hand Lee the coin.
And Lee hands you your mail, sir. Do you need me to read it for you? And he does not say that in a, I mean, I said that quick, but he does not say that in a mocking way. And you've actually heard him, it's almost mechanical how he said it. You've heard him say that dozens of times.
Sure. So I hand you back the letter.
He hands you a coin, and he holds his hand out.
Joe takes his hand out of his pocket. He's got a silver coin in his hand, and he gives you back your coin and puts his coin back in his pocket.
Lee proceeds to open it up and starts reading it.
Dear Philip, crewman of the Quiver, while we appreciate the affections that you have shown our daughter, and have no doubt that all of the things that you told to her in love and affection are completely true, I must politely request, nay, ruefully demand, that you return to the Milton farmstead to be married henceforth immediately, and thereby make Angela an honest woman, lest her child be raised in social disgrace. With all regards, Milton Green.
Is there a date on this?
This was written, it has never been delivered, was written about a year ago.
1 year.
What does henceforth mean?
Immediately. Now. Right now.
Okay.
Ruefully means angry.
Okay.
It's also spelled correctly, which is surprising for this area. Actually, there are no spelling errors in this entire document.
Now,
Dan, over the course of the day, the first day, can I get? I want to try to get the girl to give me her name. You said she's about 3, right?
Yes. She does, as the day goes on, you're not
So,
sure
Joe, when a guy and a girl really like each other.
no, I get it. I'm just
Yeah. Because I want to get this because I'm about to walk over to you.
right.
okay.
So
She-
Modemar,
she-
when a guy and a girl reach Lady Chatterley's lover.
Right. Yeah.
When a guy and a three-fingered girl, three Lady Chatterley's lover together.
He's seen the bloody hangers in the cat house. He knows what happens.
I've had to wash it.
You go to the man like, I don't got no money. And she's like,
Earn your keep.
Scrub the hangers.
I want to see my face on them.
We're the worst for going to hell. Oh, Jesus Christ.
So okay, so she, while she never seems to get better emotionally, she does at least at some point cry herself out, and with snot on her face and tears and saliva, she's a freaking mess. Also, still kind of smells of urine.
so a 3-year-old.
Yeah. She starts saying in a really quiet voice, I want silly. I want silly.
Who's silly?
Silly's my bunny.
What's your name?
I want silly.
I don't know where Silly's at right now. What's your name? My name's Philip.
Leanne.
Leanne? So I come over to Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I Oh, okay. Joe,
Yes.
I know what I did was stupid. The holding the knife on Lodamar.
She looks at you. I want silly.
I couldn't let him. I couldn't let him hurt her. But I didn't save her. You did. This is Leanne. She wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for you.
She wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Casey. I didn't do anything.
Casey did what he did because of what you told him.
Where's my mommy? Where's mommy?
What's your mommy's name?
Mommy?
Touche.
Honey, is Silly a real live
Lee.
bunny, or was Silly a stuffed bunny?
Both?
Did Silly poop?
No.
Okay, thank you. Is there part of the house that isn't on fire?
You guys moved on from that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I guess they didn't grab any.
You have no
They wouldn't
idea. Given the number of us here, you have no idea.
I start making the rounds.
Wait,
I'm
wait,
so
wait, wait,
spoiled, guy.
wait, wait, before you leave. You
Oh no! He puts a letter in your pocket. You get to tell him the good news.
What's he talking about?
I look at Lee very seriously because Lee's obviously thinks this is funny.
Yes.
This is why I said what I said.
Win.
You
I want silly.
I turn
I
to
reach
her
into my pocket
and
and
I-
I hold up that picture again that you had dropped.
Thank you.
I hand it back to you.
I look at her and I go, is that silly enough?
No, that's stupid. I want silly.
Oh, she's smart. I like her.
Create another flippin' Emily.
I pick her up and I go, let's see if any of these fine young men have your Silly. Does that sound like a plan?
Oh, she nods.
Okay. I'm a personable guy. I start talking to the crazy people, see if they have a stuffed rabbit.
I reach into my coat pocket. I take Martha off my head, as a gesture of respect, and I hand you a letter.
What's this?
It was addressed to the Quiver.
Quiver.
It was for a specific crewman of the Quiver. And I'm sorry that Lee read it to me. It was not any of my business.
I open the letter, and you see my face just go white.
So, Chad, as you make the rounds, you get a lot of, no, I don't have it. Why the fuck would I take a bunny? A lot of just general no's.
Yeah.
But then you eventually do find one guy who's he's digging through his bag like it's a stocking on Christmas morning.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, kind of got this just pleased as punch grin on his face as he's digging around through this stuff and when he sees you kind of walk up to him, sort of kind of snatches it closer to his chest a bit until he realizes it's you and then starts digging through it again.
Yeah.
I was like, man, back off.
I mean, have I even said anything yet?
No.
I kind of stop. I said, we're looking for a little stuffed bunny named Silly.
The girl goes, I want silly. He looks up and goes,
Oh, I look at her and go, oh, honey, negotiations are just starting.
she looks down and she's like, that's him. She's pointing into his bag. And
Oh, don't get so excited.
the guy
You can't show that level of emotion.
the
This
guy
early in
closes the
negotiation.
bag really fast and he's like, it's for my daughter. I'm sorry, man. And she goes, I want Silly. You've got Mr. Silly. He's mine. And he's like,
Hey,
kid, was yours. This is how the world works. Today you learned a lot of hard lessons. Sorry for that. But this is how it goes. Mine! Mine! Give me Silly! Give me Silly!
I
Mine!
look right at her.
like right in her eyes, and I give her the stare.
As you're giving her the stare, this guy very gingerly puts Silly in her hand and backs away. He's like, if it means I can fucking sleep tonight, then I'm gonna...
Now say thank you to the nice man.
I will... no, she's not that smart. I was going to say something
I
real.
will, Lee, but put me down first.
She goes, thank you.
Thank you. I look at him, I go, thank you. Does anybody at your camp know how to read?
What? I didn't take the kid's storybook if you're looking for that.
No. Simple question.
Yes, some people know how to read, yes.
Does your daughter know how to read?
No.
Is anybody teaching her?
No.
Does she know someone who knows how to read?
Yeah?
Lee reaches into his bag, takes out a very thin book, and says, give this to your daughter on the condition that she has someone read it to her.
That won't be hard. He takes it from you.
And I want to encourage you to have that person teach her how to read.
He takes it from you and says,
There's a very silly man on the cover and this long, big elevator. And it's a very childish drawing. And it's Ronald Dahl's The Magic Elevator.
all right. Fair enough. Look for a silly. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's how the world works. And he turns around and he walks away with the little girl.
Dan, I'm going to be doing the mental math in my head of how old the girl seems to be. I know when the letter was written, but I'm going to remember the encounter.
Weeks.
I'm going to look at her, looking for traits of... Basically, I'm trying to figure out, is this my daughter?
The one I'm carrying around? No. Math doesn't work.
No, the letter was written a year ago. You don't know when she was born.
I'm basing it on when I actually saw the mother last.
Does the letter specify gender?
When you read it, it didn't, because I
No,
was
it
listening for that.
Perfect. All right. I'm going to run to the can.
Okay. So he comes back with the daughter. Can you give me 2d6 plus, give me either smarts or perception?
You'll see that Lee looks like you. Dun, dun, dun.
16.
Yeah, you can see it. No slam dunk, but you could definitely see it.
Maybe you want to see it.
Possibility. Yeah, and that very much may be the case, too.
Lee comes over and goes, you just don't know. She could have left the farm years ago. She could have been out of town. They could have sent her off. Or the worst could have happened. I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
They sent mommy off.
they sent her off, yeah.
Can we go see her?
No, she's in a place where little girls can't go. Not right now. But you know what?
Just like Mr. Bastard.
Lee just plays it straight, just like Mr. Bastard.
Was that what Grandpa called your daddy?
And mommy. Mr. Bastard. He was in a place where I couldn't go even when I wanted to see him.
You've never met him?
They said they'd find him.
Philip, you don't know. You can't fill in the blanks of things you don't know. You gotta be careful with this.
I can make a choice. And I can choose to make that be whether it is or not. It's what I can do for her.
He looks at, what's the little girl's name?
Leanne.
He looks at Leanne and goes, Leanne, I think you just got a bigger family.
She clutches the rabbit and gives you this look of incomprehension.
Leanne, do you know how to swim? Do you like boats?
I I've never been on a boat.
Do you like derivative economics?
Yes.
Hands are over to Philip.
And I have a sister that I'm going to introduce you to someday.
That is extremely hopeful. Good. Keep that positive attitude.
Lee walks away.
When Lee walks by me, I say, Lee.
Hmm?
And I point at the girl, and I say, Casey. Then I don't want any of the mooks carrying me. I'll pull you in close. And
Yeah.
say, Casey. He made Koresh think that.
Yeah. Yep.
Was there a letter in that stuff that you found? Maybe you wrote for me
That I wrote for
to
you?
my daughter?
Yes.
Get that crayon and write it with your left hand.
I find this. I go off and say, boys, I got to take a piss. And I find this letter.
Okay. I won't even make you roll for that. It's Koresh is many things. An expert of spotting forgery and and playing, what is that, Antiques Roadshow?
Right.
Aging a letter.
He's like holding it up to the light of the campfire.
Yeah.
He's got a little magnifying
Yeah,
glass.
he's got a little monocle.
They stopped making this shade of crown 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have paid you to write it for me.
So,
It would have been
yeah.
in your handwriting.
Right.
It's my point.
Well,
This
yeah,
is
he's saying that Lee wrote a letter to his daughter
on his behalf.
On his behalf, yeah.
sometime in the past,
and
which is
included a
actually
pendant with it.
right now. Yes.
Yes.
Mhm. And I write a very, very thoughtful, nice letter.
Okay. Several days go by. Unless any of you guys have anything you need to accomplish during those several days.
No.
It's not, there are no more, shall we say, events during those several days. When the group stops, you are feeding on mostly what was taken from that farm. Once again, the meat that you are offered, you are able to recognize as not human. But it's mostly, it's more plant matter than it is meat anyway. But this journey goes on for about 6 days. And around noontime on the 6th day, the sky is starting to clear up.
I am doing one thing.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
sure.
I am continuing Joe's reading lessons.
Okay.
I'm continuing my journaling, but
Even if he is reticent, and reticent means
Brodo knows what reticent means. Yeah.
even if he's reticent and not, wanting, even if he is completely shutting down and not listening, Lee still teaches it. Still goes through it.
I also, besides the notes, I try to get Leanne talking. Tell me about her family.
And I'm using Huck Finn.
Leanne keeps, every time you bring her back to that subject, it's very hard to get the conversation going anywhere but I want to go back there.
Right.
The concept that she can't.
I think after the first time I'd realized it's causing her distress, I
Yeah.
wouldn't try it again.
What you learn of her family is that she lived with Mama and Papa, which you're gathering were the grandmother and grandfather, which were the Greens. Her mommy, her mother's name being Angela. And Wayne, give me 2d6 plus int. Let's see how good your memory is.
11.
11?
No. This is a plot thing I want to get.
Okay. You can add a die to it instead of rerolling if you prefer. So you take the 11 and add a d6, or you can reroll it.
Let's do the 11 and add a d6.
Okay. Fucking way.
12.
All right, that's enough. That's 12 is enough. That
12 is enough that Dan will have pity on you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's Angela was somewhat. You did encounter her doing the head math. It was about 4 years ago, so the math does line out. And of course, if the family had been writing letters to the Quiver for the past several years, they'd just be piling up in the porthouse or the dock house at St. Louis
Because the Quiver doesn't exist
because
anymore.
that boat never comes by to get its mail, and so they'd just be piling up with the harbor master, whatever his exact title is. So they just be. In fact, you guys were actually in his office.
I was.
Yeah, but they just be piling up there because they never get delivered. And so it's possible he was writing these letters again and again and again, and they never got delivered, never got replied to for obvious reasons. Or at least obvious to you, which is that the Quiver doesn't exist anymore. Not something at an inland farm they probably would have any way of knowing. But you find out that he lived with his mom named Angela, and that she is aware she has a father, but has never met him. And he's in a place where she was told repeatedly, despite demanding to go there, that she couldn't go there either, and only seems to know him by two names, which is Daddy and Mr. Bastard. And
Little does she know, she is the bastard.
and so that is what she seems to know about her family. She does recollect a few things, and she also knows that Christmas is coming, and she tells you at
Oh,
length.
come on, girl. It's not even Thanksgiving yet.
And she tells you at length that Santa is going to bring her a brother for Silly. And
Okay.
so, because that's the only thing she's asked for. So she tells you repeatedly that about this, about how, and so that's one of the many reasons she gives you why she needs to be back home, is because there's no chimney out here. Okay, did anyone have anything else they wanted? Okay, so
the only thing that I wanted to say is that during his insistent reading lessons, Joe will capitulate to Lee eventually because it is just easier than violence.
especially with Casey standing right there.
Right.
And it's never quite clear whose side he's on. Intra-party, I mean.
Yeah.
Inter-party, he's never
Yeah.
betrayed you guys, but
Right.
intra-party.
And you know that when Lee gets on something like this,
Right.
it's momentum.
Yeah.
Right. No,
We call it leeway.
right. It's just easier to roll over and take it.
Yeah.
That is that
That's just like old Three Finger. All right. So
Yeah.
when you guys, so as you guys travel westward, you pass through old and abandoned towns. You pass through places that look like they have seen destruction, some more recently than others. But once again, you don't have any further incidents of violence. Upon reaching, well, as you carry on, eventually all this gives way to significantly more heavily wooded areas. And you guys, anyone who has a knowledge of the area, so certainly Lee and Philip, but possibly any of you who would know, real high-level Missouri geography, would know that you are probably somewhere around the Mark Twain National Forest.
it's a big place to be around.
It is big. It's huge. It spans multiple counties.
Yeah.
So it's huge. And that was before it was
Just
growing
grown,
unchecked.
yeah.
So you guys enter the Mark Twain National Forest and spend a chunk of your journey in the Mark Twain National Forest before you eventually
it goes up and down.
Yeah, it's
Up
a
and
blast traveling through. But in one of these lower places, once you guys are in kind of one of the lower places, there's a clearing that you're guessing was cleared pre-war, and perhaps is still being kept clear now. But it's by the people living there. It's a relatively flat space. And while it's hard to get a good estimate in head count, This is a pretty substantially sized, we'll call it a town in very loose quotes. There are some fixed buildings. This is all new construction. Think log cabins, lean-to, junk salvage, converted, rusted out RVs. But there are also then things like tents and it's a salvage town. It's a junk town.
And we're not sneaking up on this?
No.
Okay.
No, listen, you guys roll right into this, and as you approach it, a couple of the sort of scouts that are in front, they make calls to the town, and there's a response from someone near the edge of the town, and you guys approach this, and as you do, for the first time in this, since your last, well, this is the first time ever, I guess, since the last time, days ago, he approached you. Koresh approaches you and says, now it's time. I take you before her, and she decides what will be done with you.
I'm ready. And I look at my friends and I say, and then I look back at him and go, what happens to them?
They come with us. What happens to them is her decision.
Okay. Then I look at him like sincerely and I say, thank you.
You have no idea what response there is visually because he still has that mask on, but he just turns away and rides out a little bit in front of you guys.
What kind of shape is Motomar in? Is he walking or is he still being dragged?
No.
Okay.
I'm weeks away from that.
So yeah, you're a long way away from that. So as you guys are taken into this town, village, whatever you want to call it, you see all around you individuals that look in terms of dress and behavior a lot like the almost entirely male army that's with you, or raiding party, or whatever they would consider this. But as you enter the town, you also see that there's a very different side to this. Whereas everything here, I've been calling it salvage, and some of it may be salvage. Some of it's also looted or stolen or taken in ways we don't want to discuss, or made out of things you're probably best left guessing at. But you also see children, you see civilian life, you see animals being kept. You also see human beings being kept in incredibly degrading ways, and pens and carried about on, led by ropes and made to do degrading things, and people taking bets on them as they fight in dirt pits and mostly underclothed and malnourished. And you guys are taken through this to the middle, where there's a large pavilion-like tent. And not too far from the site where this tent sits, there's some burnt cloth, most of which you're guessing is gone, but there are some burnt pegs still driven into the ground where you're guessing a tent once stood, and there's a bit of a crater in the ground that weeds have overgrown, and it looks like something is structured here like a large tent was burned down, but its spot has been left. It's not been taken over by anyone. And there is a different pavilion tent directly next to that site. And outside of this tent, the new one, is a spot where 3 men, stripped down to loincloths, are crucified and are on these crosses, nails and ropes, bleeding out, barely breathing, not moving all that much, certainly not talking, using what little strength they have to straighten themselves enough to gasp for breath, and you don't think they're going to last much longer.
So, I'm holding Leanne and trying to keep her from looking at any of this.
Yeah, they make no noise as you guys walk by, apart from faint moanings. But yeah, it'd probably be a good idea because yeah, it's full blown. It appears they've been scourged. They're bloodied. Like I said, it's the real deal.
I'm doing everything I can to shield her from as much of the sights as I can.
And when you guys are, Koresh gets down from his horse and walks to the door of it, or the opening of the tent, and motions for your group to follow him, and leads you guys inside. And inside of this, you see a tent where there have been walls and dividers that have been erected to give the appearance of rooms to the tent. Obviously, there aren't, but it gives the appearance of the tent having rooms. There's rugs and animal skins that make a sort of carpeting or flooring to the tent. It's warm in here. There are iron stoves that are warming the place. Thank you, brother.
Not even an open flame.
I was actually even about to start talking about the smells of the place, but now I guess I won't.
That's immersive.
That's right.
And
See, that's what you get at the Fear the Boot gaming experience.
yeah,
Sights and smells.
Corrosive immersion.
Is
Swimming in immersion.
enamel cracking flatulence.
this is why we've never done Fear the Boot LARP's mortuary.
It's too real.
Yeah, we did way too real with it. And so when you guys enter the front room, there is some light that's coming through the roof of the tent, simply because it just doesn't block it all out. But there are also lanterns, oil lanterns, that have been lit here. And one of the stoves is fairly close to the central figure of this pavilion, which is in the main room or the front room. There sits an older woman, I should say older, she's an old woman, hunched over, wearing a pile of clothing, various shawls and coats and such. And she has next to her several lamps, and she's wearing reading glasses. You have no idea where these were salvaged from or how old they are. And she is holding a very big, thick book. And as Koresh leads you in, she looks up at you and takes the glasses off and she says, "Oh my, I've been waiting for this day. You have no idea how long I've hoped and I've wished, and you're just in time too, my little boy. I was just teaching the children about Jesus."
I look around other children.
Yeah, there's a group of children sitting on the floor in front of her that she's been reading to.
I don't want to disturb you.
Oh, it's okay. The lessons are almost over. We'll have to do the leg breaking pretty soon. Oh, they weren't left up overnight. Have you never heard the story of him?
No.
Oh, my boy, I can't even imagine the things that you've had to endure out there.
I nod.
But it's okay now. You're at home, and we're going to make sure that you get corn muffins and you get read stories, and you're taken such good care of. Are you hurt? Why are they carrying you like that? And she scuffles over toward you, moving as quick as normal. We have the little children are sitting on the floor or the ground, watching her, and they're murmuring a little bit, but they're holding still. They're not making any loud noises. They're surprisingly well behaved. Like, they are as respectful of her as they would be
Of any mass murderer?
Sure. Why not?
Yeah, I'll say, I was shot.
Oh my goodness gracious. Who would do such a thing to such a sweet boy? I can tell just by looking at you that, the things you've been through. Please tell me these men, they haven't been mean to you.
And she motions towards my friends?
Yeah.
Oh, I say, no. These are my friends. They're my brothers. They've taken good care of me.
That's good. I'm glad they took care of you, and I'm glad they helped get you back here where you belong.
The rat man shot me.
Oh, he was
Is.
Is?
No, I was saying because she doesn't know he's dead, unless she does. Did she say was or is?
Good question. Yes, she would say was.
Okay.
She would say was.
Lee is warming himself by the stove, and as soon as she says
until she
was,
says was. Yes,
you see
she
him,
does
his
say
ear
was.
perk up.
Oh, he was always such a crazy one. He was always so hard to predict, but he generally did such a good job. He helped us find you.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of things, Ma.
Oh, you've already taken to calling me Ma, but everybody calls me Ma. You can call me great aunt. You can call me Granny. Auntie's fine.
Andy. That's what I wanted to call Lily, but she didn't like it.
Oh, she didn't like it? Well, I'm sorry she didn't like it. She was a foolish woman if she didn't like it.
Joe, shoot her in the face.
You can call me Auntie June.
Auntie June. Seems so much more complicated than Ma.
Well, but everybody calls me Ma.
Can I call you Mama?
But if you like, sure. You can call me whatever you like, Morty.
And I kind of look around and I say, it's not much different out there than it is here.
Oh, it's lots different.
And I shake my head, no. People fighting, and I kind of point towards Casey. Fighting for entertainment. And then I point towards where they're crucified. People being executed. It's the same here as it is there.
Oh, they're not being executed.
Oh.
I mean, I'm sure they've sinned in their lives, but they've not done anything wrong.
Oh. I don't understand.
They're helping teach. They've given their life over to teaching.
Oh. What subject do they teach? I don't like the maths.
Oh, it's not math. No, we're teaching them about history. We're teaching them about God.
I don't understand.
Well, we'll help you understand. And she turns to the kids. Go on, children. Go back to your mommies and daddies. I think we need to have some family time. We'll continue our lessons tomorrow. And she goes back over to the chair that she was sitting in. Says, I prefer it over here by the fire. It's quite a bit warmer. Come on over. Sit down.
Lee jaunts on over. Sits down.
You said something about corn muffins?
Oh, yes, I do love corn muffins. Koresh, be a sweetie and make sure that someone makes corn muffins. You did bring back some corn. And he's, yes, small. And she says, good, then get some corn muffins made nice and fresh. You know how I like them. And bring us a batch with some butter. That's what we'll have for a snack. Maybe some goat's milk to go with it.
Oh, that sounds delicious. Ma?
Ma's fine, thank you.
Lee holds out his hand. My name is Lee.
She
McCormick.
She holds out a withered old hand and shakes it.
You said something interesting a little bit ago. Well, you've said a lot of interesting things.
Oh, yes, well, I hope that in my years I've seen lots of interesting things. She puts the book down that she was reading to the children from, which you recognize as tattered and rotten as it is some version of the Bible. And she picks up a really thick, leather-bound
Quran?
No. she switches over, pulls out a bag of Gita. She's a compassionate Buddha. They're really multicultural here.
Yeah,
this is like
really open.
I mean, this is kind of, this is
it's
like
an ecumenical camp.
Yes, this is kind of the Alexandria of Missouri. Yeah. And she,
I don't think Alexandria, Missouri is actually like this.
No. Unfortunately, Lebanon, Missouri is not like Lebanon either.
No.
Nor is Cuba, Missouri like Cuba. But these are real places for anyone playing the home game. She takes up this thick leather bound book, and you don't have any idea what it is at first because it's not labeled. But as she opens it, you recognize that based on what's in it, it's a scrapbook. And she starts kind of turning through the pages and looking at some of the stuff in there. She's, oh, when you're my age, sweetie, you have so many stories and things that you've learned along the way. Sometimes you swear it's all you have is just your stories.
How long did it take us to get from when we got picked up to this point right now? How many days?
It's been about a week.
About a week. I go, Ma Carver, can I ask you a question?
Well, of course, sweetie.
So we've been on the road a week.
Oh, my goodness gracious, your feet must hurt.
Oh, something awful.
Oh, please, there's some pillows right behind you that the children use sometimes when their butts start hurting. If you want to put one of those under your behind.
Oh, I thank you, ma'am, and I do. The Rat Man, mysterious jerk that he is, was struck down a week ago.
Oh, well, I'd hate to think of him as a jerk. It's bad form to speak ill of the dad.
That's true. I'm just curious here. How did you know he was dead? I mean, we just rolled into camp, and I would think that we would be the ones who carried that news.
Oh, how did I know about that?
I don't mean to pry or anything. It's just this. I am cursed with this burning curiosity. It gets me into a lot of
Don't
trouble.
ever describe curiosity as a curse.
That's a wise woman,
That
Joe.
whole thing about curiosity killed the cat, why, it's just rubbish. It's just so much, pewy.
Yeah,
You don't
I
want to
agree.
get caught up in that. It's curiosity that keeps us moving, that keeps us going, it keeps us learning. It was. Thank you.
Charlie, you just farted on Dan's dog. And Charlie's like,
I have poop.
She says, "Oh, which one of them was it? I don't know, but one of the girls told me. I don't remember if it was. Oh, I don't recall, but
oh, yeah.
word
sure.
gets around here.
Really? Okay. But like I said, I was just really curious how word like that
Nasty business.
travels so quickly.
Oh, they have their means. That's why we work with them, is because they have so many means of getting things done that we couldn't hope to do.
Them. So, who are them? Who's the Rat Man?
Oh, the Rat Man. Look, it's a long story, but if you have
I
time,
fluff my butt pillow.
she as she's turning through the scrapbook, she reaches a particular page, and you notice that a lone tear forms in one of her eyes. And everyone here, give me a 2d6 plus perception. Joe, you may use your eyesight, your remarkable eyesight.
Excellent. Well, it's still not great. I just can't critically fail, which
15.
is actually pretty great. That's way better than 15. 15. 12.
Okay, so she gets to a page, and she's going through, and she gets to a picture, and you don't get a good look at it, but when she sees it, a tear forms in her left eye, and she mutters to herself subaudibly, but you're able to read her lips, "Oh, how I miss her," and closes the book, and then she sets the scrapbook aside.
Lee kind of
And
reaches out. He's like,
Joe, I will also give you that Joe, excuse me. You have a good idea, if not the exact page, you caught enough of the page that you know generally where in the book she was, and you think you could find the page again by looking for what else you saw on that page. Just shapes, colors, the things that were generally pasted into that page.
Do you mind if I flip through your scrapbook?
Oh,
I don't wish to pry. It's no problem.
just be very careful, dear. It's old. Some of the things in there so much older than you. But she hands it to you and says, and I'm so upset that there's no pictures of little baby. Oh, you were such a cute baby, weren't you?
I don't know.
You were. I can tell you were a very cute baby, which is why I have no doubt that. Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Ma'am, would you like a picture of him as a baby?
Well, you can't possibly have one.
He takes out a sketchbook. He goes, I don't have one. I have the ability to make one, and you have the ability to describe it for me.
Oh my goodness, but so if I could tell you what I remember about him as a baby?
Yes, ma'am. I
Oh,
would be honored.
oh gracious. Well, let's see. He was just round as a button and plump as a pig. He caused his mama something awful when he came out, and he screamed like the devil.
Big ding ding too.
Well, that doesn't need to be in the picture.
Of course not, no.
But he had such a round face. His eyes, they were a little bit squinty, and they were kind of far apart. But a lot of babies, I think, look that way. He just had the cutest little mouth with his smile would come up, and he only had a dimple on this side of his face. And he would just grab anything you put near him. You held a toy up to him or anything, he'd grab at it. Why, we knew that he was going to be a strong man because one of the first things that he grabbed at was his daddy's knife. And, he was just silly. Of course, we took it from him before he hurt himself.
What did his mother look like?
Oh, his mother, she was a pretty thing. She was about as well-mannered as a mule at times, but, she had brown hair, thick as can be, curled a little bit at the end, not like curly hair, but just where it fell over the shoulders, curled a bit, and I think he has her cheeks, so you could probably use that to get a start. She had thicker lips. I always understood why his daddy liked her. She was a pretty thing, at least to look at, even if not always the nicest.
I'm gonna take the scrapbook,
Yeah.
assuming she
Make
does,
sure that he...
assuming that she does not object.
She doesn't stop you.
While Lee's drawing the picture. Now, my struggles and incompetence my struggle is subterfuge. So I'm just going to turn right to that page.
Well, your other struggle is you're illiterate, so...
Yeah.
But, okay,
But I assume there are pictures or something that I might
It's a
recognize,
scrapbook,
right?
so there are a lot of pictures. There are handwritten notes, there are letters, there are newspaper printouts, there's all kinds of stuff in there. But there are also pictures, some hand-drawn, some that appear to have been, whether taken by film or simply printed to paper
Right.
pre-war. But nonetheless, there are pictures in there. All right, so, Joe, what we're going to do here is, so you're not attempting to hide it, so we're going to ignore the subterfuge thing.
Or I can try to hide it and fail. It doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so we're going to go 2d6.
Okay.
You may use either perception or smarts. I'll let you pick. And you may use your excellent eyesight.
Perception it is. Oh, look at that. That's a mighty 11.
Okay, you turn to it. So when you turn to that picture, there is a picture of the picture she was looking at is a picture of a woman posed in front of a sign. And you recognize the sign in so much as you have seen this sign in various shapes of decay at a couple points along your travels. So you know that the sign marks the Mark Twain National Forest simply because you've learned it over the past several days. But there's a picture of a woman standing by herself. You're not sure when this picture was taken. The woman is a good deal younger than the woman sitting before you, but you don't know if it simply could be an old picture or it could be somebody else. Okay. She picks it up and she looks at it and is like, well, if that just doesn't take all, if that's not 2 muffins and an extra big thing of milk for you, I don't know what is. I do recall him having a bunny. And I don't think I told you. Did I tell him that?
No, ma'am.
Well, then, if the... Oh, my goodness. She looks at the picture and looks up, looks at the picture and looks up. Morty?
What?
My great-grand niece?
Oh, I look over at Leanne, and I look back at her. I go,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, where is her mother? The kisses. I want to see Mommy.
I go,
Oh, that's so tragic, dear thing. Well, we'll have her smiling again in no time. I have a way with children.
Yeah, I see that.
I tell you. Oh, story. You wanted a story. Which story was it?
Oh, about that. Well, we'll just say the Rat Man.
Oh, the Rat Man. Yes.
Crazy name. Did he have a real name like John or
Can
Luke
we
or something?
put this as a cliffhanger for the next game because it's 10:30? Because I suspect that it's probably going to get into a thing
Yeah.
where she's going to give us answers and we're going to ask her questions. And
Did Joe was going to shoot her.
nice. No,
That's his play.
No,
Okay.
it's someone else's turn to kill Plot.
There is one thing
Okay, sure, let's do it.
that I hate to leave as a
I love it.
cliffhanger,
Yeah. Don't roll
which is
backwards. Charlie's like
Oh, roger that.
right
Thank you.
there.
which is this. After you find that picture, what are you doing with the scrapbook?
Well, I want to just set it down gently,
Okay.
respectfully, leaving it open. I'm just going to leave the book open, and hopefully, someone might see the picture. Like maybe if I turn it in Lee's direction before placing it
He's
down.
so subtle it might just go over my head. He's too clever for me.
Chad, give me a 2d6 plus perception.
4, 5, 6, 7, 14.
14. Okay. You did make it. All right. So first of all, well, on top of that, all right. This
The replacement mall.
All right. This, first of all, this picture is definitely of her, though as a much younger woman. She is standing in front of one of the signs of the Mark Twain National Forest, as I said before. And the other thing that you notice,
It's a photograph.
it appears to be a printout of one. So not like film photography, but a printout of a digital picture.
Okay.
And
It's doable.
And when you look at her in the picture, it takes you a moment to kind of pick out what her clothing is. But you're a reader. You've seen a lot of picture books and things like that. A lot of pictures from back then. She is wearing a park ranger's uniform. And now you
Like a scrap salvage one?
No,
Or
like- this was back in the day,
And how long ago was that?
at least 50 years.
Okay.
So now you're not sure how to context that without looking elsewhere in the book,
Sure.
but you that's definitely what's in that picture. There is next to it an article taken from a local paper, and it is something about local bats suffering from a condition called white nose. And there is a firm, one of the genetics research firms, by the name, actually, did I put their name in here? I thought I did. I forgot their name, okay, but I'll come back to that. That
Generic
was
genetics.
yes.
Gin.
There, it's going to matter more than that. But but that was was going to work closely with park rangers in an attempt to try and cure white nose. Now, I don't know if you have any skills by which you would be able to discern what the hell any of this means, or if you want to make a journal 2d6 plus int at a high target number.
Well, okay, so on one hand, he's like a polymath, so he has a lot of different fields, but his fields are not the natural ones. So, like, natural sciences go way over his head. So let's do the int versus a high.
Okay, so 2d6 plus int, and we'll just go to high number.
There you go. So that's what is that? 11. So 22.
Wow. Okay. You start flipping back and forth.
Suddenly, Lee's brain starts pulsating.
Okay, so you start flipping back and forth in this book. And as you start flipping back and forth in this book, I'm going to start interspersing in her story about the Rat Man, things you're finding in this book. Because you notice that this scrapbook, there is definitely a point in this book where if you start at the start, there are pictures that go back to her childhood. There's a clipping from her school newspaper about winning a talent show.
So when she said this was old, this is a pre-war relic
Yes.
of her life.
You also, by reading this at first, because you gave me that big brain roll, we're having trouble putting together how what she's introduced herself as June Carver fits into this until you realize, and you manage to flip forward to the picture of the park ranger and look at the last name on the uniform and such, and you are realizing that her actual name is Jacqueline Schultz. It's nothing even vaguely close to June Carver.
Okay.
Her actual name
You know, guys, writing this shit down?
is Jacqueline.
Come on, I provide the roles. You guys are...
So, all right.
Yeah.
She starts talking and says, and you know that it's, when you look through all the pictures of her family, there's a lot of people in there you don't recognize. Family, friends, you're not exactly sure. The things that you notice is that several of them appear to work for park services, either federally for Mark Twain National Forest, or what I believe is a local or state park. I'll be honest, I didn't look this one up.
What's it called?
Shawnee Mac Lakes Conservation Area.
I think that's local.
I think that's state or local.
Yeah.
And it appears that they're actually the family mostly, if you look at like the newspaper notes and things like that, and some of the pictures are marked with locations, they're all mostly in and around Salem, Missouri. Which is, you can look that up on a map. It's west if you're a bit.
That's where they burned all the Missouri witches.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Just like Lebanon.
The Missouri Salem witch trials are there. All right. So, Ratman, he was the craziest. Well, it's not good form to speak ill of the dead, but he certainly had his eccentricities.
Mm-hmm.
When he first showed up here, he looked pale as a ghost and lost and confused. So I took pity on him and decided to take him in. We raised him here, got him fed, got him back to health. And, he read and he learned so much. And that he used to love that scrapbook of mine that you're holding in particular. It was one of his favorite things. If it wasn't so important to me, I'd almost feel compelled to bury it with him wherever he is. God rest his soul. But he just had so much curiosity about it. So as you start following the pages, and you're following, once again, you're not clear what all this means. You note that there are, as it goes on, there's a note after that article about, I think I called them Wagner Research. So after Wagner Research was going to attempt this white nose thing or something to treat it, there's a few cuttings of academic journals. Terminology is way over your head. These are many I actually do have the terms here. These are massive, some kind of biological terms or something, because you're not sure what they are.
Right.
But it becomes increasingly technical. There is a hand-drawn set of markings on a map of the forest that seem to indicate a location. And that location is circled a couple times. And as you go past that, you notice that in the notes, the pictures become markedly more sparse. There is one of her in a hospital bed. There are several notes that just keep including these technical terms over and over. These many syllabic Latin terms just again and again. And the whole thing it maintains an internal consistency. It's cogent in that sense, but it is less and less like the person that you saw at the start of this book. And, he was just so curious about so many of the things that were going on in this area. And, when he found out that I've lived in these woods all my life, as best as I recall, I think I actually might have been raised by some of the animals here. And, there was
He gives her that knowing you're a crazy person.
there was a cave that I used to like. No, I take that back. I hated that damn place. Scary as hell. And so he said that, he could make things safe for us. Because there's Mr. Koresh over there. He has dreams and prophecies about the future. And they seem to always come true. I thought at first he had to be crazy or a blasphemer. But, it's the good book says to test spirits. And so I tested him, and they kept coming true. And he had a dream in which there was this whole vineyard, and all of it but one branch was just cut to pieces. But then from that branch, there was a single new vine that grew. And that vine was a lost relative of mine that wasn't part of my own line, but had to be found. And when I started looking and thinking, I realized that could only mean one person. because too much of we carvers have suffered greatly. It's been a rough life. And it had to mean one person. And that one boy, he said, would bring either a great peace or a great destruction that would settle across this land for a time. And then after that age would come the end, as things ought to. But we had to find him. And so we asked this gentleman if he knew how to find people like that, seeing as he clearly was a man who was well educated and knew things about the outside world that we didn't. And he said that he had his ways. And so there were people that had their reasons not to want it. And my dear departed sister, Ethel, she tragic things that happened to her late in life. Such a sweet woman, too. But she, before she was so untimely cut off from us, she asked some things of him that I didn't always agree with, but I still trusted her judgment. But when she departed, I decided that it was time to bring him home. And what were we talking about? Oh, yes, the rat man. And he was face was white as a bat's, but he wanted to, what did he want to do? Oh, yes, those people that keep their iron idols, that worship their false gods, why, he said that there couldn't be peace in this land so long as we both existed. And so we offered him a great many things to see to it that that would come to an end. And he agreed to do that. And he was working so hard on that to secure a future for our children and for their children that have yet to be born, that we could live in a land of peace. And now that my grandnephew's back with us, we just have to guide him in the right path so that peace reigns on this place and not destruction and war. Because that war, it will involve so many, not just in Koresh's dream, it wasn't just the people that worship the false idols, but it was people from faraway lands that we have yet to see, that maybe we don't even know, but would come and make war on us.
Well, that's certainly a lot to think about, ma'am.
Mama,
Yes, sweetie.
our boat is called the Vine.
Oh my goodness. Now you wouldn't make this up, would you?
Joe,
Its full name is Miss Lily's Vine, but yes, we often refer to it simply as the Vine.
and we grow grapes.
And, well, it's suddenly all coming together. And the rat man, white as he was, has passed away. The whiteness, it's passing away. I don't remember why that had to be, but there was something that had to be. That had to be. Oh my goodness. Well, where is your boat?
It was heading downriver, where we had left another boat. We sent them ahead because we were concerned about their safety.
Koresh, from where he stands always says, Ma Carver, may I speak to you for a moment? Of course. If you'll excuse me, help me out, dear.
I help her out.
Okay, she gets up and she goes over to Koresh and he takes her by the arm and leads her outside. Chad, since you are closest, give me a 2d6 in perception to overhear them.
First bullet.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Will not be enough.
What's the bullet rules again?
With bullet, you can either re-roll it or you can add a die to it.
I'll add a die to it.
Okay.
There you go. What did I say? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
So 17.
17.
He whispers to her, they will come from the south. If that is where their boat is, it is where they will come from. And she then comes back in and says, well, I think it's getting late enough in the day. We don't want to leave the bodies up because that's not how the story goes. So Koresh, would you be a dear and break the legs of 2 of them and make sure the other one speeds along where he needs to go? And she goes back to her chair and settles back into it and says, well, I imagine our cornbread and goat's milk will be along shortly. Why don't you feel free to rest here? Well, I've got extra beds here where you can sleep if you need to, and soon we'll have ourselves a dinner and some snacks, and we'll share stories about what things are like and how things ought to be.
I can't wait to tell you about Pops.
Your father?
Joe's father, but
I'm just going to text memory.
You mean that Ray is still alive?
I don't know. His name was Popeye.
No,
his nickname was Pops. Everyone calls it, much like everyone calls you Ma, everyone calls this man Pops because it's short for
He
Pop.
wasn't my father, but he raised me.
Oh, well, don't call him Pops. That's just disrespectful to Ray.
Well, what can I call him?
Popeye?
Popeye?
Popeye would be a good name. You know, he ate his vegetables and got very strong. Just like you.
Never thought of it that way. A lot to think about here.
Okay, well, why don't you guys have some rest, and we'll make sure that those muffins come along shortly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, post-game.
I love the look on Frodor's face as certain things happen, because I don't think you caught on to why they were hanging there.
Oh, no. I totally get it.
Okay.
Because she was literally illustrating the story for the kids.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that you caught on a little later, because I saw the look on your face when it looked like you were finally catching that on.
No, so I did not realize, right away that I just assumed, I did not make the correlation that they were in religious class and that those guys were being crucified. I did not get the link until later. You're right. But when I realized it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I watched the face of the jaw drop.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
I don't know. Okay, so sometimes you just have inspiration in scenes. I'm sure you guys have, where you just like, this scene appears to you, like, oh, that's cool, I need to do that. When I was...
It's called a Tarantino movie.
Sure. This one happened probably months back, but I'm like, whenever they finally do end up with the S, which probably will happen, I want the first thing to see is 3 men getting crucified and the new Ma Carver, first words out of her mouth is, I'm teaching the children about Jesus. I just wanted that complete, like, this sense of everything here is this total kaleidoscope of reality. That everything here is, it's so evil, but it has just this total cognitive dissonance of, at the same time, such purity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love the way she phrased it. Oh, they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
They dedicated themselves to education. Yeah.
Now, you have no idea if they agreed to this.
Yeah. Right. No, it was
I can see it going both ways, to be honest.
Yeah. But no, she's not executing them.
right.
Yeah.
This is just a LARP of the passion play.
Interesting slip of words there, though, that our characters would know nothing about. knew Ma Carver.
That's right.
Yeah, your current characters would know nothing about this.
Right.
The original Ma Carver died in that hole in the ground
Right.
after being hit by a shoulder-fired rocket.
Hey, we need a distraction.
And it was a distraction.
Yeah.
The original Ma Carver is quite dead.
Well, I knew
The
the
new one
story.
is a very similar crazy, though.
It's a sister.
Yeah, I knew the story out of character, and when he says when she says, I loved that cave. No, wait, I hated that cave. I was like, oh God, that's amazing. She slipped up. That's so good.
Oh, she didn't slip up.
Oh, okay. I thought that she was adopting. She was like, oh no, wait, this persona did not care for the cave.
No.
So let me. Okay.
No.
All right.
Well, that's what I was trying to get across with. She shed a tear and said, I miss her. Mm-hmm. She was looking at a picture of herself.
Gotcha.
She was not looking at a picture of somebody else.
Right.
So I wanted you to get the sense very quickly that her entire grip on reality, like she's the Rad Man, he may have been permanently manic. He may have literally been, in the clinical sense, in a permanent state of mania, but he was at least still following the plot of reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may not have agreed with any of his conclusions, but if you asked him, what day of the week is it? How did this person die? Somewhere in his heart of hearts, he knew the answer.
She seems to have actually, out of grief, made herself believe she is her dead sister.
I'll put it to you this way. Well,
I'll save it.
I'll save it. Yeah, I'll just say I'll save it, but just say you guys lost, and I'm not saying it was the wrong choice. I'm only just describing cause and effect. There were elements of the plot that you guys missed out on, and bits of information, big bits of information that you missed out on by taking the Ratman's head off.
Worth it.
I'm not saying it was the wrong choice. I'm just saying, in the same way, if you guys did not pick up on anything worth pursuing here, then I dropped the ball horribly. And if you guys pursue those, you will almost certainly start to piece together at least some more of what's going on here. Not everything, but you will get a better picture of at least some aspects of why things are going the way they are.
All right, I want you guys to read the cards, the stuff I drew.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So during that intense conversation between Lee and Joe, he's drawing a picture. It's a pencil drawing of two boys. One's beaten, lying on the ground. The other stands over him, defending him. His fists are up and his nose is bleeding. The boy on the ground is Lee. The other one, Joe. This is from your childhood when you protected Lee from bullies.
So when he went running, when Joe went running and dropped that picture, Philip picked it up, realized what was about to happen, and came up with that idea of putting the knife to Motimar's throat, expecting to have to do that to get them to not kill Joe. That's why he made the comment to Motimar that if I have to do something, it's to save Joe's life.
Right.
Because he was planning on doing that for that.
And the reason Casey was trying to stop you is he was like, oh crap, Ma Carver's looking for some kind of an unexpected heir. We've got him, but if he has a daughter, which was Casey's sales pitch, then Koresh is going to see him as disposable. And that's why he's like, no, get that knife off his throat, because he'll do it for you. It's like, if you play that card, because I'm about to make his life disposable.
All right, now read the other one, because there was a subtle play in that.
Oh, not
think it's
mine.
right there.
Yeah.
This one.
There was a subtle play in that, and you totally picked up on it. It's like, yes!
Motimar's mom. Okay, so this is what he drew of the baby. So
Right.
when Chad was doing the police sketch of the baby, what Chad drew is Motimar's mom holding him while Ma Carver looks over her shoulder. They're all smiling. Baby Motimar is holding Silly tightly.
Nice.
So she put Chad basically he gave her a false memory.
Right.
Nice.
Yep. And I cemented that Leanne, what's her name?
Leanne.
Leanne
Yeah.
was I made the connection.
Yeah.
Like their blood. So now no one can deny it. It solidifies that Leanne
Yeah.
is
'Cause
safe.
what Mallcarver says goes. Now, who's really in control here? Obviously, you should suspect multiple parties at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
The top two you should be suspecting is, I'm curious, who you guys suspect?
Because of the visions and everything happening, definitely my suspicion, out of character at least, is Koresh is making things happen, and so when he gives a vision, it's because he has information about it, and he's playing things and moving things into place. He could just be another pawn who has the information passed on, but I don't believe he actually is getting visions.
Yeah, I did not catch a second suspect, but Koresh, pretty clearly has the ear of the king, if you will.
But there's also more of Ratman's people out there. Because
Yeah.
she talked about them.
Right.
He has a network out there.
Right. So then the question is that, well,
I'll put it to you this way. If you guys can manipulate this crazy old woman, do you think Ratman was capable of manipulating these crazy old
oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Now,
Yeah, I mean-
he's dead. For real, you blew his head off.
Yeah.
There's no coming back from that.
Lee just lightly plucked one of her puppet strings, and it sang, and then he's like, "Oh shit!"
But Ratman's shtick
Yeah,
was he was out there, and you never got a reason why. You blew his head off before you asked that question.
worth it.
Once again, not saying it wasn't, just saying you blew his head off, forgot any answers. But why he wants to sow discord was never answered. But what she's describing is they were paying him and giving him resources to sow discord, which was totally their idea.
Yeah,
Totally her idea.
right.
100% hers.
In conjunction with like visions that
Yes.
his Koresh had.
Yep.
And a lot of it seems to lead back to, basically destroying St. Louis. Now, I don't know if that means like dropping a nuke on it or like sowing political discontent so that it consumes itself. But yeah, I'm starting to draw the line.
Right, because was he trying to break the machine, or was he trying to do something as simple as create chaos so that they had a much more susceptible and rich hunting ground?
They're
Right.
coming from the south.
Yep.
People they haven't seen from far away, and they're coming from the south. And there's a train line from the south.
Isn't
as well.
Jacksonville in the south? Isn't
Jacksonville's
Waycross?
southeast.
Okay.
If Jacksonville went on the offense, there would probably be no stopping them.
There are a lot more passenger cars than would be expected on
They're
the train
moving
that's to the
people
south.
and not goods.
And
Yeah.
Jacksonville does not need trains.
Yep.
If Jacksonville wanted to attack, they would come in airlifts. So,
There were a lot of moments I thought the characters might not make it through the session.
No,
And one of them, the note I handed Dan when I did the knife was, while not trying to get my character killed, I acknowledged the risk. I was making sure he knew that I was, if that's where the story went, the character was willing to die.
well, I was worried your character's going to end up dead, not because you put a knife to specifically because of what you're doing, but because of an indirect truth you didn't know.
Exactly.
Which is what Case, because when Casey said, I'm going to save one person, I'm like,
Yeah.
how's he going to save somebody? And I came up with a plan that seemed plausible he could pull off that quickly. And it was like,
Yeah, and for Philip, it was the little girl. He's got a soft spot because of watching his sister grow up. He will not. He could not do something.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. I have a pre-approved backup character. I highly recommend all of you do the same.
I will say only this. This is the second game session in a row where if Joe had died, I would have not I would have not been. I mean, of course, I would have missed him. I would have been upset. I don't want my character to die, but I would have in no way felt cheated or robbed, or because if those ists killed me for trying to warn those people, I was fully aware that that was a possibility.
Don't you really
we
be the
did.
charge?
Right, and inadvertently,
They're all too crazy.
Money Daddy,
Yeah, they're
the
fucking
limpy
nuts, man.
cat.
Yeah.
The Money Daddy.
The Money Daddy. We did find one for Wayne, the Money Daddy.